Tell us about the tattoos.
Shut the fuck up, you little prick.
But then I've got the Phoenix.
Hey, prick.
So I'll take it from Bob every day of the week.
Absolute disgrace.
I'm sure no one will mind.
Move him out of here, Derek.
Ricky Hatton didn't go over for his fighter because he risked getting abducted and sold into sexual
I never said that.
Both have been rape victims. I'm not watching Frank Buglioni live on a Saturday night. You're out of your mind.
Jesus Christ, get yourself a life.
He's actually a priest.
Yeah.
It's because his brother John Fury eye gouged him.
What have I told you all this time? He's going to end up sucked out, fucked out, looking for a handout.
Boxing, nutters, messenger group. I'm gonna be the king.
J-Pump, you know what I'm saying?
Well, hello everybody, and welcome to the 467th edition of the Boxing Asylum NUTHOUSE podcast. I'm your host Steve Wellings, and joining us on the call we have Ozzy Smith, Andy Patterson, and Matty Di Gialinardo, going live on YouTube from 8 o'clock every Sunday evening. The Patreon RSS feed updates shortly after the show concludes. Hello to everybody listening through the week on SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. Don't forget to leave a review on the podcast player of your choice throughout the entire month of March. Nothing less than 5 stars is acceptable. 5-star performance, Andy, last night over in Leeds. Josh Warrington regaining his IBF World Featherweight title with a 7th round stoppage over KIKO Martinez. There was blood, there was headbutts, there was broken jaws. Marcus McDonough was failing to control them. There was punches landed at the end. There were punches missed at the end. It was a wild night. Everybody seemed to be having a great time. Eddie even got booed. He couldn't boo the effort ever of both men, Andy. But do you think the right man won in the end?
Poor Eddie, man. He tries to pretend it doesn't affect him, eh? But fair play to both guys. Good performance of sorts by Warrington. I was talking to Ben on Friday, actually. He was asking me how I felt, the fight would have went. I picked last week that Josh would win a decision. And but I kind of thought he would have done it more behind his boxing. I was kind of surprised he actually went right on the front foot and just took it to Martinez, because obviously maybe the Ghost to the Lara fight being a bit too aggressive. He could easily got clipped. Obviously, he's had some damage now off the back of this fight, a broken jaw allegedly, and maybe supposedly banged his hand up as well. But obviously, you say the head clashes have obviously railed KIKO a little bit. He's been throwing punches after the bell, whatever it was, and just it got a wee bit kind of snide at times, I suppose. But don't get me wrong, he dominated. He deserved it for me, and that's really it. I just think maybe the first headbutt possibly was the main cause of Martinez's problems. Seemed to be slightly buzzed up, cut, as we mentioned, went down in the first round, obviously, after that headbutt. So I don't think maybe he just never really recovered, but that's no really two ways about it. I mean, Josh obviously never let him recover. He was on top of him on his chest at all times, practically. So still, when he was able to catch Warrington, I thought maybe a couple of times he's maybe kind of like digging him up a wee bit. I do believe that without the headbutts and cuts, we might have got a wee bit more kind of competitive fight possibly, but we'll wait and see. Maybe the stoppage is a wee bit premature as well. It could have went on a wee bit longer. Martinez is a champion, as we said, and obviously people were mentioning that as well. It was kind of quick. So yeah, look, it was Josh's basically his career was on the line there last night. Obviously, you think about it at world level at least, and he's got himself right back in the mix. And hopefully, I like to see them kind of like make the Santa Cruz fight. Obviously, the Lee Wood fight makes perfect sense business wise, in-house fight, etc. But I like to see him kind of like go on the road and possibly go to America and get one of the big names over there, because obviously he's done the domestic scene. Remember, he was domestic fight of the year after like beating Frampton. Was it Selby, and was there somebody else? I forget who at this point. Galahad. So yeah, look, I like to see him maybe kind of go to America now, maybe try and get a chance over there with some of the big guys or the supposed bigger names. But we'll wait and see.
Good stuff, Andy. Shout out to the chat, the unwashed. We'll have a look at them shortly, see who's knocking around. Josh and his team, Aussie, took a bit of a tactical gamble. They backed his fitness, they backed his activity. Similar to in the Frampton fight, I thought, the first 2 or 3 rounds, he came out, bursts of activity, overwhelming a marginally slower opponent, which is ultimately the way it finished. I'm not sure what would have happened had we reached rounds 10, 11 or 12, but I guess we'll never know because we never did.
Yeah, I was going to say it reminded me of the Frampton fight that Warrington just came out the blocks and, like you said, overwhelmed is probably the best way to describe it. He threw shots, and something that stuck in my mind from the Frampton fight is after it, Carl said that whilst his record may not show it, Warrington definitely hits harder than his KO ratio suggests. And I thought it showed in that. I thought, big bonus in the first instance where he was able to drop Martinez early in the first. And then from that, he kind of took over. Like you said, he was able to use his skills, use his fitness against an aging Martinez. And then, it was rough, rugged. Plenty of head clashes, plenty of shots. And then from that, I agree with Andy. I thought the stoppage was a tad early. Thought Martinez was buzzed, but it didn't warrant, the referee jumping in. But you never know. It could have been, a few, a bit 2 or 3 punches later, and Martinez could have been, rightfully stopped on his feet. So, yeah, I thought it was the right gamble. I thought it was a gamble from... which was certainly worth the risk. Martinez has aged, and I keep saying that. He pulled out a fantastic, couple of big shots against Galahad, but he was losing the fight pretty handedly. I understand Warrington's a different fighter compared to Galahad. However, I still felt Josh had the beating of him, albeit I didn't think he'd stop him. I know I wasn't on last week, but I said I felt, Warrington would win on points. So I don't want to say, it's a big statement win because, let's not forget Martinez is older and, he's certainly not in his prime. But, KIKO's had a more than worthy career, and I still think it's pretty impressive that he was able to get him out of there. So, yeah, decent win for Warrington. I think the Leewood fight is probably something they're going to be trying to make. But ideally, I'd love to see a big unification in America for him. I think he's always, I'm not saying he's got one foot out the door, but I think he's got his eye on big fights only again now. And don't forget, there's probably the Mauricio Lara rematch again that, is a big fight. It's not something that I'm bothered about seeing yet. I'd rather see Josh get an opportunity to unify rather than going beating Lara, because whilst Lara got that stoppage first time round, I'd just see it as a good win for him. I don't think, it'd just be, avenging the loss. I think, he should be trying to target the title holders next. And ultimately, he's got a belt now. He's got fan backing, which always, brings financial power. It's over to the promoter to try and do his best and make these unification fights for Josh Warrington.
I think Aussie as well, before you scoot off, Lara, he's on DAZN. They showed him on DAZN. He looked vulnerable, but he looks exciting. The fact they're both on the same channel, they seem to be sticking with Lara, means it's something that can still be built up for the future.
Absolutely, definitely. But I don't think Warrington could adapt those tactics like he did against KIKO last night. I just think, he'd be on a hiding to nothing there, because whilst Martinez can bang, Lara hits a hell of a lot harder. And I think last night probably did quite a bit for Josh, that he broke his jaw, but was still able to get Martinez out of there. So it probably just, reaffirms in that, he's not, his punch resistance hasn't gone, that sort of stuff. But at the same time, yeah, correct. They can build that fight. They can keep building Lara into a bigger name, but Warrington would have to go away and come up with a completely different game plan, because if he goes in with that gung-ho aggressive style, I just see Lara knocking him out again.
Wouldn't disagree with that. Don't disagree with this 449 that Ricky Gravil's thrown in as well. Shannon Courtney, how many points? How many points, Ricky? Wouldn't need any points.
Points support, though.
When you're lying on your back in the gutter, Andy, everything you're looking up at is stars. That's what I say to Ricky.
Hey,
Hey, did you see the messages that Ozzy was sending us last night about that picture and what she was wearing?
No.
Oh, mate.
Oh man, I got to tell you, Steve, that gal has had more work done than a '64 Corvette in a classic car auction.
Yeah, getting work done when you're a boxer, it's perfect, isn't it? But you know what? Ricky Gravel's thrown in the money, so it's time to hit the Ricky Gravel button. Cheers, Ricky.
Poor dog.
He's a good lad. Joe Kennedy threw in a message for me. I'm going to read it live and exclusively on air. He says, Steve, did you catch Jim Gray asking Michel Rivera about his dad? Very cringy, probably a Bellew of the Week nomination. I'll put that forward for you, Joe. I didn't actually see that. I saw the Michel Rivera fight against the Dorno. I didn't see any post-fight action because I wanted to get on to Tszyu against Terrell Gaucher as quickly as I could, which we will get on to later. Not before we've gone to you first of all, Matty. Let's go to the elephant in the room. The elephant that was butting away with its tusks all night. Josh Warrington against Mauricio Lara. Headbutt, fight over. Josh Warrington banging the head in all night against KIKO Martinez. Fight over. The cuts were bad. The headbutts were bad. Common denominator is Warrington here. It's something I hadn't noticed, really. But looking back on some of the fights, I think Warrington's head was just egregious last night. It was getting to the point of ridiculous. And I was talking to a friend of the pod who shall remain nameless, and he was unhappy by Marcus McDonnell being given the big assignment, saying that he's unable to control aggressive fighters. What do you think about Josh Warrington's head work, his shoulder work, his elbow work? I think it went over the line at times there.
I think he should have been deducted a point at some time in that fight, Steve. It was actually in my notes that he was using his head and his shoulders quite a bit. It's the dark arts are what they are, right? I think that there's a good handful of fighters who have used it successfully, but the referee should step in at some point. Like Bernard Hopkins was at least, like throwing hip punches on the side that the referee wasn't, and things of that nature, and getting and rubbing his forehead around when the ref was walking to the back. Whereas like Warrington was doing everything like right out in the open, and the ref warned him a good handful of times, and he needs to be getting penalized. They said they have plans on going to America next, and it'd be interesting to see what a ref over here might do should he give that a rip. And I kind of wonder who they're thinking for an opponent for coming over here to the States. It's just a shame that the next opponent isn't going to be Lee Wood. Lee, with all the respect in the world for Josh, letting him enjoy his moment at the end there. But it because I really think that because if that fight with Conlon didn't take a bunch out of Lee Wood, and he honestly seems perfectly fine. That fight is so interesting because it seems like Warrington's kind of coming into a bit of a pattern, and we didn't get to see it kind of unfold in the last Lara fight, but it seems like what he wants to do is come in, really work the body and try to take his opponent's wheels away early. And then that lets him get a chance to kind of box a little bit more into the mid rounds. And it'll be interesting to see if that works, because Leewood has a hell of a motor. He's pulling off these 12-round knockouts like that's nothing. So that fight is truly interesting, at least on paper. And if they try to let that marinate, considering how easy it should be to make, it's going to be an absolute shame, Steve, because the more and more I think of that fight, I mean that could be a real fight of the year candidate, and I don't think that it's over until that final bell rings, and those are the real fights that we want to see, because Leewood has shown that there's not a safe moment in the fight with that guy at this point in time. If they can make that happen, sign me up. If they find a way to not get that to ever happen, shame on Eddie, because that'll be ridiculous. What a great fight that is.
Yeah, I agree with you, Matty. It's not over until the fat lady sings. Ricky Gravel there, Andy, saying Sergio Martinez was raging on Twitter. I think the Josh Warrington nursery rhyme is head, shoulders, knees and elbows, knees and elbows. Could you imagine the Leeds lot rocking up on the Las Vegas Strip? And the referee, whoever it is, an American referee, whether it's the likes of Jack Reese or Russell Moore, can you see them Josh Warrington getting away with that kind of head work and elbow work in the States?
No. If he wanted to go to the octagon, no, he'd probably get away with that shit. Probably, no problem. And obviously we get our pal Shannon here singing Sweet Caroline, which she's getting all vocal cords tuned up for her by the looks of it.
Exactly. What about Lee Wood next then? Grant Riley, Andy throwing in a 250 for sure. The next fight is Wood, then retire. He's a big old unit with a good engine, Wood. Pretty similar to Warrington in that regard. I think it'd be a good fight.
Yeah, obviously. I mean, but I think, well, talk about unification fights next, for example. Will we see maybe Eddie trying to kind of like pursue WBA to get Wood some sort of upgrade in champion status? I mean,
Eddie can't make the big fights, Andy, man. I don't want to go off on a tangent here. We've got Cambosos Haney, we've got Fury. You want to get over to the zone? Yeah, sign with Oscar De La Hoya because Eddie can't make these fights, man.
Same with Bob Arum. Bob Arum was telling us literally 2 days ago we will definitely be involved in that fight. Just wait till Lou DiBella now. So the big man or the old man knew what he was talking about. Eddie being oddly quiet. But yeah, why'd you have to bring Eddie up? I was going to go the full day without even mentioning him. Yeah, wanker. But Lee Wood, Josh Warrington. Yeah, look, very interesting fight. Based off Wood's last fight, it kind of failed to deliver. But I go back to what we said after the Conlon fight. Give Wood a bit of chance to recover because he went to the well, and you just never know. Maybe that he's never the same fighter again after a performance like that. But if they're going to get it on, definitely both guys deserve to get paid. But I want to see Warrington try something in America. Maybe get them the McZile. I guess Mark McZile's a WBC champ, possibly Navarrete. But obviously the situation with Eddie and Top Ranks, maybe it's not possible. McZile will be with PBC, I would imagine, because
isn't McZile fighting that guy that you don't like? Isn't that on the PBC schedule? Vargas? No, Vargas.
Oh, is it Ray Vargas?
Yeah. I'm talking about absolute contempt, not your mild dislike for Jr.
Yeah, well, there you go. That kind of limits his options. So yeah, look, then it's going to be the obvious fight to make, then obviously, but just I want to see him get paid, but. Would also, as I say, mentioned that he needs to give proper, adequate time to recover after what he's been through.
So maybe with what they're saying, though, let me be the consummate optimist here. Maybe we'll get lucky. Is maybe what they're saying by going stateside with this fight. Maybe what they're trying to, God, please make it happen. Maybe they're trying to make a really fantastic Canelo card for later in the year. You never know. I mean, that fight needs to happen. And it would be a killer fight, even though it's between two Brits. It'd be a killer fight for the Mexican audience.
Yes, thank you indeed, Grant Riley. If we didn't thank you already, pat on the back to you for that 250. Boom says Matchroom USA are going to have to re-sign Tevin Farmer at this rate, right? I think they are. I think they are indeed.
Remember, he asked, was it 3 million? Who's the fight again? Was it Santa Cruz? Who's it?
Javante Davis. It was Javante Davis. I think so. Yeah.
They were asking for like $3 or something like $5 million for that fight. It's just business. Something like this wasn't feasible.
All those numbers on the paper for poor old Tevin.
Farmer has one eye on a contract extension. His other eye, I don't know.
Had to go there. Ross Dalziel's in the chat. Shout out to you. Who else is there? Johnny Horsecock Nelson. Adam Hughes is with us. Chase Athletics. Our American correspondent, the Emperor and the Pig. Paul Raftery, always good for a Bellew of the Week or two, is with us as well. Yimi Yappy, Ryan Petit, Michael Thompson, friend of the pod, Joe Kennedy. Good to see you, Joe. Nathan Ford, M. Lithgow, 1983. Stephen Hill. Ricky Graville, of course, who's already led the way with a super chat. Boom, as we mentioned earlier, is hanging around. Des, always good to see Des. He says, how can Eddie ignore a fight between Wood and Josh? British boxing needs these fights. Pay them properly and make the fight. Completely agree with that one, Des. Avoiding the Browns with us too. Josh Ford, Grant Riley, of course. High Guard Plodder, final few before we move on to the undercard. Snoop Bob, haven't seen him before. Welcome to you, Northern Monkey. And last, but by no means least, let's find a new name if we can. Flicking up and down. Big A. Big A is with us every Sunday evening. Right, Matty, don't know what you saw of the undercard. I'll flick through a few fights. You can tell me what you enjoyed, what you didn't enjoy, what you saw, what you didn't see. Maxie Hughes, I thought, was really good against Ryan Walsh. Tricky fighter, Ryan Walsh, but Hughes had the measure of him and pretty much won every round. I thought he was excellent throughout the fight. Maria Cecilia Roman looked about 70 going in the ring. I think she looked about 80 coming out after that beating from Ebony Bridges. IBF bantamweight women's title on the line there.
Argentina should cry for her.
They absolutely should. The Irish Canelo Ray Moylet, Sugar Ray, getting beaten up by Dalton Smith, smashed to the bollocks repeatedly as well. Shout out to Beck Connolly. She did her best, but she was like a walking punch bag against Sky Nicholson. That was uncomfortable to watch at times. What did you enjoy out of that lot, Matthew?
Well, I'll tell you what I'll cover on this one, Steve, because this coming Saturday, I'm trying to figure out what time it is for you guys. God, it's going to be at about 9:30 in the morning over here. I think we'll be doing our first women's boxing podcast going. So I'm going to cover those women's fights here real quick. I'll tell you what, Ebony Bridges definitely won the fight against Ramon. That is, I'll give her that. But the 100-91 card that Don Trella put up is absolutely ridiculous. I have no idea how he was only able to find a single even round to give to Ramon. I thought that she put together a few good rounds late in the fight, and she might have got one of the early ones. The 97-93s were definitely within the realm of possibility. I thought that was perfectly fair, but 100-91, that's just that's ridiculous. There's this American political commentator, Michael Savage, that you guys like put on a cannot enter the country list. They might need to do that for Mr. Trella if he keeps putting forth these terrible scorecards. That's no
depends
excuse.
who they're in favour of, Matty. I'd say he might be welcomed with open arms, depending on who he's favouring.
Ain't that the fucking truth? He's going over to the UK to help an Australian. Isn't that odd? And then, I'll tell you what I was really, I'm really excited against, and this is going to be one of my hot prospects for the year, for both women's and men's boxing. The featherweight Sky Nicholson just taking it to Beck Connolly. They talked to Sky a couple fights afterwards out in the crowd. I think it was actually during the Ebony Bridges fight. Did not have a mark on her. Looked like she was getting ready to go out and have a drink with her girlfriends.
I noticed that too.
That gal, I mean, what exceptional boxing skill. She shifted, she moved, she threw from different angles. If it was over 8 2-minute rounds, she would have absolutely stopped Connolly. If it was 3-minute rounds, not a doubt in my mind that Connolly would have been stopped. I'm excited to see this gal coming up at 126. I don't know if she's thinking that right there's where she's going to hang, maybe a little up, maybe a little bit down, but that's where most of the talent in women's boxing is. She's only 2-0 right now. She's the Australian Olympian. Really just a fantastic fighter. I love watching her put her shots together. But I know she's only 2-0. Keep your eyes on this chick, because I think she is going to definitely be picking up some titles in a few weight classes in women's boxing.
Good stuff, Matty. Andy, did you catch anything in the undercard? Any Maxi Hughes action? Any Ebbs? We're all team Ebbs on this podcast, as you well know.
Yeah. What did I catch now? I seen Maxi Hughes pretty much dominant, wasn't he? Really boxed pretty well, feinted really well as well. Really good performance. Seen Bridges against Roman, well, most of it anyway. It's just women's boxing, isn't it? It's just the 2-minute rounds, as we've harked back to before, but I thought Bridges probably won the fight. I don't think it was wide 100. What was it 190? I think one of the scorecards was. And Dalton Smith, I thought he was fantastic. Actually, obviously, the low blows aside, I thought he was boxed really well, done it really well on the back foot as well from time to time. And Moylet, who was a wee bit out of his depth, obviously a wee bit outclassed. And badly swollen eye. So yeah, it was that's what kind of caught me, to be honest with you. Most of it was kind of like meh for me. I was looking forward to Hughes. As I say, he looked fantastic. Dalton Smith looked fantastic. And obviously the main event was exciting to a point as well. So the women's fights did that. As I say, Bridges, probably they'll market her. She's got the kind of leads backing in that as well. So she'll be back in no time, world champion and that. So she's going to be back in no time.
Northern Monkey's back. He's thrown in 179. Get some white chocolate cookies for your kids, says Northern Monkey. Thank you very much to you for throwing that in. Shout out to our couple of sign-ups on patreon.com/Boxing Asylum. They're both in the Boxing Nutters Messenger group. As we speak, Gary Gray and Justin Dull. Shout out to Gary Gray and Justin Dull. Good to have you with us. Yeah, Moylett was an excellent amateur. I thought he would really transition to the pros. Explosive fighter. Had some good fights to the likes of Rob Gorman. A good Irish senior fights back in the day, but it just doesn't really happen for him. I suppose you're going from those 3-rounders, those 4-rounders, and trying to transition. He fought in America early on as well, got the loss on his home turf, and then he was just out of his depth against Dalton Smith. I thought Smith looked really good. Obviously, the low blows weren't helping matters for Moylett, and Pascal Collins was trying to rally him as the fight went on, but he just took a bit of a beating, and he was always skilled. They just couldn't seem to get inside Dalton's long arms, and yeah, good performance from him, but hopefully Moylett can come again, even though Jade can't. Des has thrown one in. Maxi Hughes is having a Michael Sprott moment. He's come good and he's growing into it. He was good last night, and I hope he builds over the next few years. Absolutely. He's had to go on the road in the past. He's got a few draws on his record. He's finally having that light shined on him. He's kept with the sport. He's gained experience, and he's beating good fighters now, good quality fighters. He's got this IBO belt as well, a little platform on DAZN. So fair play to Maxi Hughes. He definitely is having a Michael Sprott moment. I'm not sure if Ozzy's back with us at the moment. I don't think he is. So we shall move on. Before we go on to Berchelt, Tszyu, and all the other bits and pieces, let's do a bit of housekeeping with a few of the shows from around the world. And you can talk about any of these shows or none of them as you see fit. I shall first of all throw in, if my computer will load, Mikhail Tszyu over in Canada on Friday night. Got knocked out by Carlos Ocampo. That's a bad loss from Tszyu. Last saw him getting beaten by, I think it was Kowalewski, so he's a bit of a fringe contender. Don't really think he's going too many places.
Tszyu is shit. Ocampo was even money in that fight. I jumped all over that one.
Did you see that one, Matt? You know?
I didn't see it. I just knew Ocampo was going to beat Tszyu. Tszyu is shit. How he was even money against Tszyu, I'll never fucking know. What an easy play.
There we go, Matty, with the betting news. Mike Perez as well, winning by retirement over Vassal Dukar out in Dubai. Bit of an upset on the undercard. Eric Morales, Orlando Salido. Who won that exhibition? Who knows? The Texas Combative Sports Program have not updated the page just yet. And finally, Andy, as I said, you can talk about any of this stuff if you want. IBO Intercontinental Super Middleweight title. Let's party like it's 2004. Felix Sturm. Remember him fighting Oscar De La Hoya back in 2004? He's still going, losing majority decision to Istvan Zilli. The crazy thing is, I was looking at Sturm's record. Now he's 43 now, 44. The only time remains that he's been stopped, even though he's gone on too long, is the Javier Castillejo fight back in 2003. He's still never been stopped, Sturm. That's going to be the last egg to crack. Someone's going to have to stop him to finally get him out of this sport, Andy.
Yeah, it was on pay-per-view last night, as I understand, for anybody that was interested.
Not for Andy.
Not for me. Well, I didn't watch it, to be honest with you. I'll wait till it maybe kind of pops up on the track or somewhere, but I'm not going to be kind of like hunting it down, to be honest with you. But yes, it's a shocker. Like, I mean, I think the guy who lost was Esteban Sila, 25-2-2, based out of Switzerland, to over a majority decision loss. Yeah, I think Sturm's now 45, clearly just back for the cash. You mentioned the Dubai show. There was a massive shock on the undercard for any of you listeners who follow the light flyweight divisions. Agustin Gaito for Argentina smashed up inside 2 rounds. He's ranked 3 in the world. Was due a world title fight, hopefully was meant to get a world title fight over the next year or so. He's come in there, 8-round fight against a Filipino called Fiardo, I think his name was. 7-1-2, absolutely punched holes in Gaito, dropped him 4 or 5 times, just couldn't defend the left hook, and basically fucking got iced. Massive upset for this year. Obviously, the other one we mentioned, the Welsh Mayweather, Lee Selby, went on the road. I didn't know at the time, but I read it somewhere that this was actually an IBF eliminator, so I didn't think it was in shout for another world title fight, but he got stopped in 5 rounds off a guy called Gustavo Lemos. Don't know if you saw it, mate. I seen the stoppage. Looks old, looks washed. Certainly should be retiring after that. You just, you're not used to see them kind of like getting hunted over a ring like that and basically getting dropped and getting stopped, especially getting dropped twice in 1 round anyway. So what else did they catch? Kind of itty bitty shits. I think that was kind of really all I seen this weekend, apart from obviously the main events and some cards.
Ozzy, we were talking about the DAZN undercard, and if you caught anything of it, we were giving a pat on the back to Maxi Hughes for his performance against Ryan Walsh. He really dictated the range, the pace, and wiped that smile off Walsh's face by the end of it.
Yeah, he's excellent. I tell you what, he's really like flourishing, and he's like embraced the opportunity, you know, to go on the road. You know, he took that chance against John O'Carroll, and he's just never looked back, really. I mean, going up to lightweights clearly benefited him, and it's fair to say he's probably a shadow of the fighter that Sam Bowen knocked out back in 2018. He's going from strength to strength. I expected him to beat Ryan Walsh, to be honest. Walsh is not a lightweight. You know, he's always campaigned at featherweight, so he's come up and jumped up 2 weights. That saying, though, it doesn't mean, you know, just because you jump up, you're a bad fighter. The weight just might not be right for you. But you could tell there was levels between Hughes and Walsh. Really impressed. Thought his footwork was great. Sean O'Hagan's doing an excellent job with him. And, you know, we talk about trainers who improve fighters, and Sean O'Hagan is definitely improving Maxi Hughes. This isn't, you know, not just like an overnight, you know, this is not random. This is not, you know, one accidental win. He's got a string of wins now that arguably he was probably the underdog in, probably the Carroll, possibly the Kochegov, and maybe the Straffon fight as well, given that Straffon was coming off that big knockout win over James Tennyson. And yeah, he's just going from strength to strength. It's going to be really interesting to see what they do with him, actually, because he's in a busy, stacked division. Looks like it looks like Haney and Kambosos have got a deal set now, so you know it's pretty much all the belts tied up. It's going to be interesting to see what they do. You know, I know Hughes has got that IBO belt, which, you know, yeah, it's not a real world title, but I guess it means it beats him from fighting complete no marks. But I'd like to see him in with somebody potentially like Francisco Patera. Do you remember him? He beat ex-EBU champion. I think he's from Belgium. He's not bad.
You know, beat Ritson.
Sorry?
Was it Ritson?
He did, yeah. He did, yeah. Fucking hell, he did just beat him. He absolutely battered him, didn't he? Yeah. Or maybe it's tough, really, because he's in a bit of a situation. Are they just going to try and wait for him to get, you know, try and get him a world title shot? But I just see that being so far away. Do they try and get him in, you know, just a big opportunity against like Gervonta Davis? Do they try and get him a fight, you know, potentially a bigger name like Jojo Diaz, Richard Comey? I don't know, but he's in a good position. He's getting, you know, he's putting together a really good string of wins, and he is, you know, the epitome of what I always say, that don't take somebody's record for face value. And he's proven that just because, you know, he's had 5 losses and a couple of draws, it doesn't mean that is the end of your career. And he's proving that now. And he's probably he is in the form of his life. The rest of the undercard, I tell you what, Dalton Smith, what a talent he is. He is quality, I think. And again, a lot of credit to his dad, Grant Smith, who trains him. He is another trainer that improves fighters constantly. Every time we see Dalton Smith, he goes, you know, you can tell he's got the gears and there's more to him, and he is improving. Grant Smith trains Sonny Edwards as well, another fighter that is always improving. I thought, you know, really good win against, you know, there was just levels between him and Ray Moyler, and an excellent win. It'd be great to try and see him fight for the British title now. I know Sam Maxwell withdrew from that, so I think Smith might be able to fight for the vacant belt. And then you've obviously got Ebony, who got the win for that, you know, now a world champion, which again, you know, it just shows the lack of depth in women's boxing. She got beat off Shannon Courtney. She beat Beck Connolly, who, you know, is a female journeywoman, beat another, you know, like basically female no mark, you know, somebody who was 6-3. And then she gets an opportunity to fight for the IBF world title. I can't say I watched the fight in great detail, but yeah, we know what they'll try and line up. They'll probably look at the Courtney rematch, and then that's all I saw really. The rest of the undercard was just, prospects, that sort of stuff turning over. So it was all about the main event. I thought the card was okay in terms of, in terms of the fights. But story of the night certainly goes to Josh Warrington. And again, Maxi Hughes, who, again, just keeps going from strength to strength.
I was wondering if you heard you say on Lee Selby. Obviously, Warrington took the title off Selby. He's had to go out to Argentina. It was always going to be difficult for Selby with his style once he lost that title. But, I mean, that guy just sort of knocked all the fight out of him. I only saw the stoppage now.
Yeah, to be honest, that's all I saw, really. And other bits and pieces I saw the round prior. He's an old fighter now. He's not got the spring in his legs anymore. And you forget, I always felt Selby made a mistake in the fact that he went up from featherweight and he jumped straight to lightweight. He just, whilst he's tall, he just doesn't look, a natural lightweight. It's easy, just to put weight on, but you've got to be able to fight at that weight. Like I said, with Ryan Walsh as well, I think super feather would have been ideal for Lee Selby. He came in, he was beat. People forget, he was beaten by Kambosos in that final eliminator, back in 2020. Again, Andy was right. I'm sure this was either an eliminator or another final eliminator, bizarrely, for the IBF title. Never heard of his opponent prior to the IBF calling it. And again, he was just too heavy-handed for Selby, and Selby looked old, faded in the ring. The skills that, he was quite elusive. He didn't have that anymore. And for me, he's had a really good career. He's nothing else to prove. And I'd like to see him hang the gloves up. I don't see what else, unless he wants to drop back down to domestic level. But what's the point for him? What is he going to achieve there? He's done everything you can in boxing. He has been one of the very few, world champions. Not everybody wins a world title. So, yeah, I think it's time for Selby to hang the gloves up because he's a shadow of what he once was.
See that weight jump from featherweight to lightweight. I wonder how much of that's down to the fact is he spent a long time dragging it because he was a massive featherweight and he looked awful sometimes trying to make it. Try to make the weight. So I just wonder, it's only £4 between feather and super feather. So I just wonder, could he even make super feather?
He's one of the worst, Andy. I've told you before, he's one of the worst I've ever seen. I remember when he was out in New York, he was supposed to fight on the Frampton undercard, but his opponent ended up like blood problems and he didn't fight. But Selby, nice guy, his lips were chapped, he looked translucent, he looked yellow, skeletal, man, he looked terrible.
It looks like a heroin addict on the scales when he was making featherweight. He looked absolutely horrendous. Fucking eyes back in his fucking skull type of thing, all drawn around that, like you said, dry as a bone. And I think Josh Warrington...
His South American results were still better than Taylor Hawkins.
Jamie McDonald was going to start taking photos with him.
But no, you might be right, Andy, in a sense that, he spent so long at featherweight that maybe super feather he just couldn't do. But I'm always dubious, of just making that double jump,
It's only £4.
I don't think it suits fighters. Sorry?
It's only a £4 difference he'd have been making, really. And as I say, if he's really, he was really dragging his ass into 126. And the additional £4, I don't think really would, well, you just don't know.
No, it's one of them, but I think we all agree that, I think his career's probably up now. And he's pretty switched on, Selby. I'd be amazed if he carries on. I understand taking this opportunity. He's got a chance to fight for, win and eliminate for a world title, but now he's not going to get any of those chances again. 35. He's had a long career as well. I'm not saying, he's been in, like wars and stuff like that. Just he's boxed quite a lot of times. And it's just time's up for me. But been a good credit to the sport. Probably never really had the backing, what he potentially could have had.
Welsh Mayweather.
Well, yeah.
Jamie and Chris Sanagar, to be fair, they tried Ozzy, didn't they, to push his corner, but it was difficult.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
I remember him watching a sparring session between him and was it Gary Buckland? Gary Buckland, when he used to walk into a spar session, he never used to wrap up. Never used to wrap his hand. Just got the gloves on. Did the ball wearing a cup? Did the ball wearing a headguard? Straight in the ring and got at it. It was one of the really good spar.
Like Edwin Valero.
No man, just straight in there. Gary Buckland was just fucking nuts.
Yeah, Lee Selby no longer with us in the boxing world. Who knows? Des, he spent too long at feather. It takes it out of your legs. Well said, Des. I agree. You are listening to episode 467, I believe it is, Boxing Asylum NUTHOUSE podcast. Ozzy's here, Andy's here. Matty D. Jalanado is with us as well, with me, Steve, rapping Rob Kelly. Will no doubt be with us soon. Let's move stateside then, shall we? I said last week when we were previewing the Tszyu fight, I expected Terrell Gaucher to give him problems to consider. He was a big step up in class for Tszyu. Gaucher's right hand is a sneaky, solid punch that arrives quickly. It arrives on the target. He has a nice left jab as well. Tszyu looked a little bit nervous early on. He was attacking in straight lines. His head wasn't really moving a lot. And given it was his American debut, that was to be expected. He needed to warm up, Matty. He needed to punch away those nerves. Once he warmed up, Tszyu put in a little bit of a statement win for me. The manner of the victory especially, because I thought Gaucher was a wily old fox. He'd last the distance. Wasn't sure he'd get stopped like rapping Rob Kelly thought. But there's one thing now, Matty, that I'm pretty confident about. Tim has inherited his old man's power. Once he started landing those shots, Gaucher started to fade, especially the shots to the body. We knew Tszyu could punch, but only at a certain level, only at Australian domestic level. I think his power has carried forward now. I think he's a dangerous proposition at world level.
Australian domestic punching usually has a totally different meaning, Steve. I'll tell you what, Gaucher gave him a good night of work. I thought the judges were a little bit too kind to Gaucher.
A little bit.
My God, 1 point.
Are you serious?
I thought Gaucher probably won 3 rounds, so I thought that 116-111 was about right. I'll tell you what, Gaucher doesn't quite have the legs that he used to. If he did, he probably would have given Tszyu a little bit more work than he did. God knows where those scorecards would have ended up. After the 5th round, when he really rocked Gaucher against the ropes, Gaucher didn't let his hands go nearly as much. He was a lot more cautious in using his left hand in particular, because he didn't want to catch that right hand in the middle. The first round knockdown he scored with that right hand was a beautiful shot. And unfortunately, Tszyu has a good chin. Sometimes you just come out a little dry and you haven't felt it. And once you do, you're acclimated at that point in time. So I think he might have his old man's chin, which is also a good thing. What surprised me a little bit though, Steve, and I thought he could have done better, is I thought that he was a little too upright, and without having a little bit of a deeper bend in his knees, it kept him from being able to punch quite as hard as he might have been able to otherwise.
A little bit rigid. I think the nerves, Matty, played into that maybe.
You could very well be right on that one. And the good thing is, after the fight, he acknowledged that. They asked him, what do you think you still have to work on? And he said everything. And that's the right mentality. Perfection never happens, especially in a sport like boxing, but you should always pursue it. So that mentality is going to carry him a long way. Like I said, I thought he won 9, maybe 10 of the rounds. Gaucher gave him a good night of work. Good job, you guys, picking the points. Rob and I, we picked the stoppage. Boo-hoo for us. But Tszyu's stateside debut went pretty well, and I'd like to see him get a quick turnaround. Don't sit around and wait. Maybe even best if you're planning setting up camp here, set up camp here. If you're going to go home quick, come back, and get in the ring again. Keep everything moving. You don't want this 1-2 fight a year bullshit that people fall into.
Yeah, I think whether the power would transfer up the levels was the main question for me. And I think it wasn't a resounding yes, but I think pretty confident that it will do. Gaucher was a good first test of that question. We mentioned it before, Andy, shout out to the judges. Their scores broadly matched how I thought the fight would go beforehand, but in reality, I'm not sure how that one guy had it at 114, 113. That was far too close for my liking. Now, we had the knockdown, couple of close early rounds to Gaucher. I didn't dissect it to see exactly what rounds he'd given either way. But tightening it up right down to a point, that's far too close for me.
Yeah, well, you can fuck off with that scorecard. Gaucher, Matty's maybe being a wee bit generous, saying three rounds is probably the max you could give Gaucher. But I thought after the first 2 rounds, I mean, he won the first definitely, but after the third, it was all. I thought it was all Tszyu. I've just managed to. I'm just trying to kind of see if I can pull up scorecards at this point. I've seen them earlier on there. Give me a second. Just want to see what this 114, 113 scorecard was kind of scored like.
While you're bringing it up, Andy, on that first round
Yes, yeah.
knockdowns, Showtime suggested that the opening round knockdown was a result of Tszyu being a little bit lazy. Maybe he threw a slow shot, like a fighter, as I mentioned, who's been used to getting things his own way, and he had to immediately sharpen up. So getting knocked down in the first round was probably the best thing that could have happened to him.
Yeah, he was actually going to throw his own right hand at the time. I didn't get a chance to have a look at his feet, see if maybe he was off balance or maybe his feet were tied up.
It was a slow, sloppy right hand, wasn't it?
And if you look at Tszyu sometimes he can actually square up when he's attacking you. Maybe it's just to kind of like, maybe get more leverage in his shots, because he kind of like steps in and does kind of loop some shots in. What I do like about Tszyu as well is he tries his utmost not to get tied up. And if you do try and tie him up, he will always kind of like try and pull himself out. I thought maybe he had a wee bit issue with a high guard Gaucher's from time to time, because obviously he can't punch through it, and only so often you can actually punch bones and that before it starts hurting your hands. So obviously maybe get down to the body earlier than what he actually did. But the main takeaway for me, if you want to be negative about anything, would be his defence. I think he needs to employ a wee bit more head movement, certainly a wee bit more body movement. I think he can be a wee bit more. He's a wee bit too flat-footed from time to time. I think he just expects he's just going to be able to kind of walk in there into distance sometimes and just kind of let his hands go, and that will be enough. I just think it's no. I know what you mean about the power. I just don't think his power's elite power. But he hits hard enough. I mean, if you look at that Inoue fight, he beat the shit out of that guy, hit him at everything. Still couldn't get him to quit. Gaucher as well, good fighter. We mentioned the right hand there last week as well. But after 3 rounds, he was shut down, and he just took a bit of a beating for me, to be honest with you. I think the 4th round was a potential knockdown, but if you actually look at the slow motion, no punch landed. And Gaucher I think he kind of tried to roll and he got pushed in from behind. So
yeah, I think they got that right actually on slow motion review.
Absolutely. But as I say, after 2-3 rounds, Gaucher's went into his shell. Tough as fuck though, to be honest with you. Survived pretty well. But I think if you're looking at the correct scorecard, you need to be looking at the 117 and above type scorecards. 114. It was like they were trying to hose him, trying to make something contentious for some reason when they didn't need to be. And it's like every other week though, isn't it? We are kind of coming to every other week. We're mentioning these fucking scorecards. It's getting beyond annoying now. It's just probably just maybe the same faces. Is it Robert Hecko? I don't know who he is, to be honest.
Never heard of him.
Never heard of him. But apart from that opening round, that was the only clear round you can give Tyrell Gaucher last night. Everything else pretty much was Tszyu. To be honest, look, he impressed. To a point, again, probably a B- type marking if you want to kind of mark it that way. But I just thought the judges again just one of the judges got it absolutely wrong. 114, 113. Off the back end, it was been happening in Britain the last couple of weeks, and that if that had happened on those shores last night, for example, there'd have been fucking uproar about that, because it says they were close to fucking making that a majority decision. There's no way, shape or form you could have that fight that close for me.
It was Minneapolis, wasn't it? The Armory. They've been there before with Durrell and I think David Morrell as well. But one thing I would say as well, he's going to have to tighten up defensively. Obviously, we'll give him a pass. It's his first fight. Gaucher's a big step up. We can't say this is always going to be a problem. But if Charlo is landing a right hand like that, then the fight not.
That's where the Michael Fox fight was.
Mm.
Yeah, the Michael Fox. I remember the one you mentioned now.
That's right, Maestro. Yeah.
You're right, mate. I mean, obviously, Charlo, heavier hitter. Lubin's quite a heavy hitter as well.
Yeah.
I don't know about who's still kicking around about it that way. Who kind of bang a wee
Castano.
Castano. Well, he's maybe not a big hitter, but he's honest enough kind of puncher. But
that would be a high volume fight. That one's really
that'd be a good fight, wouldn't it? Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So hopefully, I don't know what situations with the PBC, but hopefully he is getting these kind of bigger fights. We'll wait and see. Which, by the way, the Castano fight against Charlo, I'm a wee bit kind of concerned about this fight now, obviously because of Castano getting injured. allegedly he's needed surgery on this injury, and it's been rescheduled for 2 months' time. How the fuck is he meant to train properly, make weight, spar, and then go in and actually fight after surgery?
Yeah.
Is
it May 14th now, I think?
Yeah, I think so. This didn't sit right with me, that one, to be honest with you. So
you want them to be 100%, don't you, for a fight of that magnitude?
Yep. I was going to ask, actually, I think he was on the undercard, but he's ranked high with IBF. Is it Bakram Murzaliev? Did he fight on that card? Did the result come up?
Yeah, first round knockout.
Was it? Right, so it was like a takeover job, basically.
Yeah, must be.
Yeah.
Yeah, Gaucher can be negative, but one of his strengths is definitely defensive responsibility, which is strange considering he has Manny Robles in the corner. He's traditionally a front foot coach, but it was the body work, I think, that opened the door for Tszyu. Those body shots, particularly the left hook, it just weakened Gaucher. So he was holding on for dear life in the middle rounds and starting to weaken down the stretch. Don't know how the judge came to that conclusion. A final one for you, Matty. Slight curveball, but I know you love him. Just comparing Tim with his dad, Tszyu, which I like to do. Tszyu obviously went over to the States a lot earlier. Bob Arum took an interest in him. I think in his third or fourth fight he was there. He had the no contest against Mass. And then in 1997, upset dramatically by Vince Phillips. Didn't stop him, regrouped in Australia with a couple of fights. He came back, beat Rafael Ruelas and never looked back. Obviously went on to fight the likes of Mitchell, Zab Judah, the famous fight, Ben Taki, Mitchell again, and then lose to Ricky Hatton. But what do you see about the parallels? Are you happy with Tim going over to America? Would you like to see him sign with Uncle Al on the PBC?
I think that's the place to be for his weight class. I think
yes.
if you're speaking purely strategically, it's the way to go. The difference I really see between him and his dad is that his dad was far better. And this is something that Tim can learn, but his dad was far better at fighting at distance, and then sometimes using that to go in and work and to go and get inside, work the opponent's body. Whereas Tim, he needs to learn how to use his jab better. He needs to work on feigning, and so he can land that right hand as well. I'm not saying he's going to ever have his dad's right hand, but. So I think, based on that, and, but just based on build, you can kind of see why he's fighting the way that he is. He's just he's a really broad guy. He's a big 154 pounder, not necessarily in height, but just in build. But it'll be interesting to see how he develops and if he gets a little bit more of his dad's what's the word I'm looking for? His dad's tendencies start to kind of come in more through his career. But beyond that, I just as far as Tszyu, I'm looking forward to him getting. I think you look at him saying he'd jump in and fight Charlo, and that was a big mistake. But because I think that's definitely going to be early for him. But it's not that I don't think it can happen. He just needs more seasoning. So a couple more fights, maybe this time next year, get that fight to happen if they're both winning. What Andy just said definitely has me thinking Charlo over Castaño coming up. So that's so I think he'll be safe moving through, and Charlo doesn't fight that much anyways. But yeah, if Tim can get a fight in the summer and then get one in the wintertime, come back and fight Charlo this time next year, that'd be fantastic. And I really would give him a chance in that, especially if when he relaxes a little bit more, gets a little bit more bend in those knees and gets some better turn on his shots. Because it's amazing he did what he did with Gaucher because he looked so stiff. But he still pulled it off and pulled it off better than the judges gave him credit for.
Yeah, Chase Athletics says good win for Tszyu. Gaucher wobbled Lubin, also first fast starter. Yep, and he's fast starter Jamonte Clark as well in his last fight, got rid of him. So that's a good win. Nikita Tszyu, one of the next generation. I think Tim's brother is also on the way up. So look forward to seeing how he progresses. Just before we go on to the undercard,
maybe you can transition and we can call him La Femme Nikita.
La Femme Nikita. Memoirs of a Gaucher. What about that one, Matty?
There you go.
Coming up with all the bullshit on this Sunday evening. Ozzy, I know you didn't catch the Tszyu fight, but before we go on to the undercard, if you have any comments on his performance, where he goes next, or any future prospects for Tim Tszyu, chuck them in now, dude.
Well, I saw I didn't see it every round, but I saw like a highlights package of it, and I thought, he boxed well, I thought I thought he was a solid opponent for a US debut. It would have been easy to put him in with like a knockover job from where we can get a big KO and people talking about him. But for me, from what I saw, I thought he handled him better than other people have done, certainly. And that's I think probably getting dropped early on has probably helped him. He's thinking, right, actually, I need to switch on it rather than just coasting, because he has had it all his own way, because of the pandemic, he's been really limited on opponents, and he's had to fight basically every Australian again at his weight, and he's a level above the likes like Horn, Brubaker, Dennis Hogan, people like that. And that fucking Steve Spark, I think he boxed last year. But the one thing I always applauded for him is he stayed active when many people didn't do anything. He stayed active. He's now come over a more than solid victory, and there was it was a performance where sometimes you can have a performance and you can, even though you win, you come out with probably more people criticizing you than you have positives. An example would be Edgar Berlanga. I think a lot of people are criticizing him now. Actually, he's had all these huge knockouts, and now the power seemingly has stopped. He's been dropped. He arguably lost to Steve Rhodes, and the hype is soon deserting Berlanga. Whereas with Tszyu, I thought his performance last night was very good, and there's loads to build off on it. I've said it previously. I think a fight that would be good for him next, whether it's doable or not, will be the winner of Liam Smith against Jesse Vargas. I think that'd be a decent fight for him, as in a similar level / step up. I rate Liam Smith, and I think that would be a very entertaining fight. I think the styles would gel quite well, and I think Smith will beat Vargas. So I think that's a fight they should be looking at. I'm not sure if Smith is tied to Matchroom. If not, that's a bonus, because I think, to be honest, he might well let Smith jump over anyway to that. So I think that would be a good fight for him. The only other one is, I wonder if they'd have a look at the guy who beat Liam Smith previously. Was it Magomed Kurbanov? And I think Tszyu would absolutely Tszyu would splatter him all over, to be honest. But again, I agree with Matty. He's probably 12 months away from the world champions at the moment, but there's nothing wrong with that. They've timed his career quite well. Now you've gone to the US, there's no need to jump, into fights from where you could be out of your depth or you've not got that experience. Keep building him, keep getting the right fights in for him. And then when he does fight for a world title, he's had the best preparation. And I think that's what they'll do. So agree, would love to see him fight. I mean, what we're in now, coming into April. Love to see him fight again, August time, July, August potentially, and then hopefully get out again in December. He likes to fight often, so this won't be new for him. So it's going to just be interesting to see what sort of opponent they go with next, because there's not loads of depth to it, but there's certain names that will provide good tests for him and would help him get to the next level.
Man, I'll tell you what. Before that, I mean, the winner of Fedora and Lubin could be a good fight for him before Charlo even. And I'll tell you, I right now, I'm kind of surprised that I think Fedora is the favorite in that fight, is the betting favorite in that fight. And I think Lubin's going to splatter him. But if Fedora does happen to beat Lubin, I think Tszyu
Fedora's the favorite.
Yeah, I think Tszyu is a stylistic nightmare for Fedora, an absolute nightmare.
Tszyu against Lubin, I think that'd be a good fight, Andy. Lubin's vulnerable, but he's a big puncher.
Yeah, I was going to say, he's got decent pop about him. Always took a wee bit of time to recover for the Charlo stoppage, but he has got, as you say, decent power. But again, we've got to see his power really tested up at an elite level, because obviously we've seen him kind of get dropped badly. Who was his last one against? I know it was a decent knockout, but he'd also been wobbled possibly in his last fight.
Lubin beat Gaucher, didn't he? I can't remember who he fought next now.
Gaucher, I'm certain Gaucher wobbled him in that
Yeah,
fight. Can someone
he did.
just confirm that?
He
I
might have
knew he
dropped
did.
him, you know. I think he might have dropped
Possibly,
him. I can't
He's
But-
Lubin's a smidge chinny. He's
Yeah,
definitely
yeah,
a
he's-
smidge
Oh,
chinny.
it was Rosario, and it was Jason Rosario.
Was it Jason Rosario? Yeah, he is packing a bit of glass, definitely for me, Lubin. But yeah, he's back in contention, mate. The Charlo fight obviously would make sense, but again, does Charlo want to go through a rematch with that? He's going to be looking at bigger legacy fights now after Castano. So wait and see. But Tszyu, Lubin, yeah, look, get that fight made. I'm doing for any Tszyu fight as long as he's getting challenged or fighting some of these guys possibly in the top 5 at 154. But until he gets his call, at least, obviously we need to wait and see if Charlo, if he wins the Castano rematch, is he going to stay at the weight? Is he going to vacate? Who knows? Because it's going to be interesting. I imagine the mandatories are going to start piling up for him shortly as well.
I would imagine so. If Charlo gets past Castano, I can't see them, excuse me, going back over old ground over guys like Lubin. On the undercard, Matty, of Showtime, good little a little triple header, as they tend to put forward for us, the PBC. Elvis Rodriguez, first of all, knocking out Juan Jose Velasco. Rodriguez, big puncher, but I thought the 8-round loss to Kenneth Sims was a bit of a black mark, but I mean, it's only an 8-rounder. Rodriguez isn't the fastest starter in the world. He's only gone the distance once. He's used to getting people out of there. And Velasco put it on him. Velasco's only lost to Prograis and Barrios, so he's a decent fighter. Put it right on Rodriguez. Was landing a lot of shots the first 3 or 4 rounds. I thought, here we go. Rodriguez could be in trouble here. But once he planted his feet and started letting the shots go, I think he looked really good. And Velasco did not want any of that power. That power of Elvis Rodriguez is real, Matty.
It absolutely is real. He is the first fighter to stop Velasco with headshots. Everyone else has done it going to the body.
That's right.
So he can definitely punch. He showed more restraint in this fight. He boxed early, used his jab. There are definitely arguments that Velasco was winning those early rounds. I think it was kind of pick your flavor because I thought that Rodriguez was definitely boxing pretty damn well behind the jab early on. But then he started to find a home for that right hook. And when he found the home for that right hook, he really started to do some damage. I was able to start boxing on the front foot instead of on the back foot, started putting Velasco up against the ropes, was able to work some uppercuts in as well as body shots to get him to drop his guard down. And it just eventually he came in and he just started blasting and that was it. And he just Rodriguez didn't want no more. Velasco didn't want no more. 140 pounds is a rough division. I don't know how Rodriguez is going to fit in, but I will say that he will always have a puncher's chance. And if he continues to work his boxing skills a little bit more, he could definitely serve as a double threat and could be a wild card in the junior welterweight division.
Matty, while we're on you, tell us about Michel Rivera. Big long arms, nice jab, can clearly dig. That Ali shtick, he's continuing with the haircut. He looked like proper early phase Cassius Clay against Joseph Adorno. Couple of draws on the record, decent boxer. Just couldn't get in close enough. I think he didn't like Rivera's power. I was only watching this from a distance on the laptop, so I can't speak clearly about it. But Rivera seems to get the job done each time, Matty.
I'll tell you what, he is quick. He puts his punches together well. He throws a lot of jabs. Rivera was throwing over 30 jabs around last night. It was quite the statistic. Adorno had success at times, but Steve, what was killing me is he'd get those moments where he'd get inside, he'd land a few good shots, and then he'd get back out again instead of keeping the pressure on Rivera, where Rivera was able to use that stick, to use his speed.
Don't think he liked the power, Matty, but then, like you say, he was no good at distance either because of Rivera's the length of his jab.
Yeah. And I'll tell you what, and Adorno did okay, and he has some pop. You know, this dude can punch, so it was disappointing to see that he didn't really give it a go because I thought that he had a fair chance in this fight if he'd let his hands go because he is definitely a known puncher. But Rivera was just able to keep it on him. He was active. But I'll tell you what, Steve, watching Rivera, as often as he throws his left hand and as low as he keeps it, that guy's a knockout waiting to happen, man. If someone gets his jab timing down and they throw a right hand with him, they're going to fuck him up.
Didn't John Fernandez catch him with that, the Spaniard? Do you remember? He knocked him down with that right hand.
I think you could be correct. I'm not recalling it off the top of my head. But it's that flaw is glaringly obvious. And and you put him in with the southpaw, the right hook, that could be an even more potent weapon because you don't have to necessarily get inside or outside of that jab to land it. You can go around it. So as much as he has some good qualities, if he doesn't become a little more diverse with the way he uses his left hand, and if he doesn't learn to keep it a little bit higher, because he's definitely not a guy who's rolling a whole lot to land that right hand necessarily. He's not fighting shell. He's not a pocket guy. I think he's going to be a knockout waiting to happen. And as long as he's fighting guys but who can punch on the way up, I think I'm going to be tossing a few bucks on it here and there because I feel like it's inevitable.
Matty tossing bucks on. Get on it, everybody. Get those parlays going before we go back to stateside Berchelt and on to the action for next week. Any questions? Don't think we have any. And Bailey of the Weeks, take us through the Sky card, Ozzy. Give us the highlights, the lowlights, whatever you saw. Richard Riakporhe, big old unit, like him. A big strong guy, big puncher, nice jab, got rid of Dion Juma. Dan Aziz, shame he didn't fight Matthew Tinker, but shout out to Carl Greaves, who brought in a nice replacement in the form of Reece Cartwright. I thought Harry Scarf looked decent against Lewis Green. Adam Azim got rid of Conor Marsden pretty quickly. Didn't see Dubois. And Joe Pigford, we know he can punch. What stood out for you?
Yeah, the question I was going to ask is what happened with Tinker? For Aziz, I only realised Cartwright had been brought in, but never looked up as to why he pulled out because they were still previewing Tinker, the back end of last week. So it must have been clearly a very late dropout. But no, I thought the card was solid. Sky have come in for some criticism, over the past few events that they've put on because naturally, there's been a lot of money in the main events. Therefore, it's harder to put on better undercards. This show didn't have, the big standout fight, like a Taylor Catterall or a Brooke Khan or someone like that. But what it did have was more competitive fights, somewhat from as good as, top to bottom, really. I thought Riakporhe was good, looked really good, benefited, from the, basically, that's his third fight in probably the best part of about 6 months now. And prior to that, he'd had an absolute stinker trying to keep active. He didn't box in 2020 and only boxed at the back end of 2021. I thought he dominated Dion Juma, who, again, he's probably struggled from, again, a lack of activity. Heard a lot about Juma, saying people don't want to fight him. He's been, been avoided. But I thought Riakporhe looked a level above. And he's in a good position with Sky. They've got a good chance to build him. He's headlining cards, looks good, knocks people out. So, yeah, and he's in a good division domestically. There's a few decent cruiserweights knocking around. Again, there's rematches I'd like to see him in with. And it probably won't happen now, but I think a fight again, with Bill and Smith, McCarthy winner would be really good as well. That's probably not going to happen. I thought Dan Aziz, for me, it's actually a bit disappointing. This I thought Aziz, was probably I thought Cartwright was actually knocked around, at middleweight, super middleweight, and he's coming in there basically light, heavy type of stuff, and it was short notice. But it looked okay, Aziz. It was solid, solid without being spectacular. Thought he was better in his Jose Burton fight, actually. But again, not going to rule him out, because of an iffy performance. I just thought he would have got Cartwright out of there quicker. That saying, though, I've got to credit Cartwright because he had a fucking big set of balls on him because he took some big shots and still kept coming and definitely earned his money. Harry Scarf, he's fucking murder to boxing because, my God, he's a big, big welterweight. He's massive and dominated Louis Green. And then the rest, I didn't see the Congo fight, but I saw Adam Azim, fuck me, obliterated that Conor Marsden. I just beat him up. looks a real talent, real talent. And, you know, Marsden, I think, I'm sure he was like the Southern Area champion, beat Boy Jones Jr. in his last fight. So this is an impressive win, you know, for a young pro, 3-0. He's certainly a name to remember. Thought Caroline Dubois looked spiteful, looked a lot better. And I always think it helps, you know, if you can tell, like, you know, in women's boxing, you know, you can tell they've got a bit of a dig. Just makes you want to watch them a bit more. And you could tell with Dubois, she's got skills, and she did have a bit of a punch and, you know, just ruined her opponent to the body. And then Pigford's knockout, fucking hell. I mean, how the guy, that David Romero, even stood up after it, because, my God, it was a huge shot. And I think it's time for the Pig to start stepping up now, because he's got this record, you know, 19 fights, 18 by stoppage. We haven't really fought many people. He had that fight against Aaron Morgan, which was a step up for him. That was on it was on a French. I'm sure it was on the undercard of Gervonta Davis against Liam Walsh, and it was a big KO over Aaron Morgan. Then I know he's had problems, but he's not fighting, you know, anyone of any real quality. But what Sky have got here is they've got a fighter on the hands that is exciting. He knocks people out, and he clearly does have ability. So I want to see more of him. Great, it was on the telly this time. He wasn't on TV on the first Sky show that he boxed on. But certainly want to see more of the Pig. He's in an exciting division, you know, domestically, you know, there's fights for him. And when you're knocking people out, more people want to see you. So much improved from Sky this week. You know, like I said, didn't have the big name fight, but that's okay, because, you know, you judge a card usually as a whole, and there was, you know, decent fights on it. It actually turned out to be a better show than what they had planned. I think Fabio Turchi was coming over and stuff like that. So Riapo Juma turned out to be a better main event. So yeah, overall, much improved, much better, and look forward to the next one.
And will do. Des says, react poor. What's missing is the trainer getting to box a good move. Something for me isn't right. Yeah, he has all the tools, the fundamentals, react poor. If they can just find a system for him, get a certain way of boxing, could be the next Henry Akin one day. That big jab, that big right hand. He looks quite the specimen. I like the shorts as well. It was Crystal Palace. I thought it was Russia at first. He had on his shorts, but it was Crystal Palace. So shout out to react poor. Matty, last week we laughed at you. I laughed at you. I have an apology to make. You went on about Jeremiah Nakatila. You said, has he got a chance? Is Miguel Berchelt washed? Will Nakatila come out? That big right hand, those sweeping hooks. And I laughed. I said, no way. Berchelt will get rid of him. He's terrible. Boy, was I wrong. Well done, Matty. How much did you win? How much did you put on this bet? Tell everybody. We're dying to know.
Tell us how much you put on that 6-1 knockout.
Oh, God. I put like $11 earlier on a bunch of shit for a little even money parlay. And I had like $368 left over and change over a $5 value, which is my OCD amount. So I put that at 6-1 on Nakatila by knockout. So made like $6
Don't spend it all at once.
Fucking Jesus Christ, you're telling me, man. Just one more reason when I go to sleep why think about why I hate myself every night, right?
Cry wanking yourself to sleep.
Hey, that's what I could use to buy as lubrication.
Getting the big right hand out like Nakatila there, Matty.
I'll tell you, here's the thing.
Matty's trembler.
Is you have to look back at that Valdez fight, and what I saw in that Valdez fight, and I have questions about Valdez because he didn't take out Berchelt earlier, is Berchelt's always been a little bit stiff, but his movements in that fight remind me of Mike Alvarado when he was clearly washed. A certain stiffness in the legs, a little bit kind of a galloping around the ring in a sense, for movement. It's not clever. There's a bounce to it, but there's no movement to it other than back and forth. There's no side to side. It's just, I don't know. It just seemed to me like a sign of a washed fighter, and Nakatila isn't much. But he was enough to beat this Berchelt, and I wish I had more faith in it when I was putting money on some stuff that day. But it is what it is. Berchelt has been in so many wars, and you really have to watch these guys. And I know we thought it was the weight against Valdez, and it was probably a little the weight, but most of it was he's just fucking done. He doesn't have it anymore. He's been in a bunch of fights. He's not a young buck. And it gives a chance for a guy like Nakatila, who's just been used as an opponent for these last couple of years, to get a name on his resume. We know the truth about the victory, but the record books are the record books, and he beat a former world champion. So good for him. A right guy at the right time. I think basically anybody was going to beat Berchelt last night. And Nakatila goes onwards and upwards, and I really hope that Berchelt hangs it up because he's had a great career. He was a true action hero for the better part of a decade, but it's time to hang him up, champ, because it's going to only get worse from here.
Didn't look great, Andy. Berchelt's come through the rankings. He's won his title. He's beat the likes of George Jupp. I think, wasn't it Willie Limond at some point or somebody like that? He was going in against these level of guys. He looked like it was all there for him, but one war too many, and he just looks like the definition of a wash fighter for me. It's hard to see where he goes from here, other than to Skid Row. They're going to have to retire his ass, I think.
Mate, yeah, it's bad. I think he even changed trainers for this fight as well. Sometimes it's not even the best decision there, but look, he made Nakatila look like world class, to be honest with you. Even when you see, I think it was round 2, Nakatila was just landing some really good shots on him, and there was like he was barely able to respond to anything. Got dropped with a jab in the third round. Everything the signs just that he's washed, finished. He has to go because he just looked so vulnerable there last night. You consider what he did against Vargas, Maura. We mentioned those fights last week. Those were great fights. These are like, say, fight of the year contender type fights. He's now a vulnerable fighter. Even put him in with someone who is maybe trying to get their leg up in the sport. He's basically like one punch away for like a serious damage. I really do think there could be an accident coming his way. Just the way it was going. You had nothing there last night. Fair play to Nakatila though, but it just shows you that that Valdez fight, that knockout was so bad, so bad that he's had to go up to like 135, no tune-out fights, and then he's just got blown out like that. And fair play to Matty for getting it right. I thought Berchelt would have had enough in him, but I did say last week we would know pretty quick what he had left, and we've seen it within 3-4 minutes. He was absolutely washed. As he get dropped on a jab, it's never good. But he had nothing to reply with. I think he maybe had like a couple of stands, maybe like the 5th, but there's just nothing there, and he needs to retire.
He's washed. He's finished. He needs to retire. There's nothing left for him. He's talking about Berchelt, not rapping Rob Kelly.
Yeah.
Was that from the mic or the podcast? I don't know. There could be a lot of calls from both.
He's with us. How you doing, Rob?
Although I am, since I joined this fucking podcast, the amount of music I put out has been fucking pitiful. So you guys are taking up all my free time. Any complaints, direct straight to our fucking congratulations. Whatever side of the fence you're on. Yeah, exactly.
In your free time, Bob. In your free time, please.
In my own time. I know, exactly.
What did you get to see?
Oh, I saw a lot last night. I saw a very what I would call a fight that Ozzy would watch. Maxie Hughes and a lad. What was the guy who was fighting? Ryan
Walsh.
Ryan Walsh, yeah.
Maxie
Hughes, Maxie Cruz, I would have called it after that, because he cruised to fucking winning every round of the fight. The most fucking boring shit I've ever seen in my life. No disrespect to either fighter, by the way. I'm sure this is somebody's bag. It's just not mine. Like Maxie Hughes is a good fighter, and he's a good domestic fighter, but and not taking nothing away from him. He's on a bit of a winning run and all that, but I hated that. I fucking hated that, and I'm going to sound like a real hypocrite now, because I thought there was some fucking great entertainment in that fight with that lady who's only had 9 professional fights, and that
Chebs Bridges,
Chilean Abuela that she was fighting for the world title. That
Abuela, that's putting it kindly, I think, Rob.
Yeah, well, what's great
Mucho
is
Abuela.
Grande Abuela. Abuela Grande, that she was fighting. Who the lads?
Grandma?
Yeah, great grandmother. Big grandmother. that's the Argentine. Well, it's better than what the lads on the panel from There's Only App were calling her. They just spent the whole time calling her an Argentine. We'll never forget the Falklands, as we already know.
Sandy
on this.
Ryan wasn't in there.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Come out with their IRA mask on.
Sandy Ryan doesn't like the Argentine. Anyway, we fucking see. I'm back at it now. But I thought, to be honest with you,
call them the RJ.
We give a very kind of damning report on most ladies' fights on this podcast, and deservedly so most of the time for the level of talent that's on display. And I'm not going to go ahead and say that there was any kind of great level of talent on display either in the Ebony Bridges fight. But fucking hell, she had a goal. Like, I thought she was probably fighting somebody who's above her level. And somebody who'd been through the... No, that's not fucking saying much, but fighting somebody who's above her level, I thought her work with Tibbs was pretty good, that she stayed on the jab. But she loves to tear up the Zeb, so I'd love to see the mentions today. I'm sure the guys, Perry PepsiCo and a few other close admirers of her, are lauding her with praise. But she likes a little fight, don't she? And she stood in the pocket and she traded. What more can you ask for? She's certainly more exciting than any of the female fighters.
She's spunky, Rob.
She has a go, doesn't she? Like, she knows her limit. She knows where her fucking appeal lies. I would fucking put her in the same class as Muhammad Ali, really. No, but jokes aside, I thought she fought well last night and she deserved her victory. I had her ahead on the cards. Not that I was fucking scoring it actively, but thought she was entertaining, man. She was entertaining. She knows what the crack is. She's more and more. I'd put it this way. I prefer Ebony Bridges as the face of women's boxing over the likes of fucking Dolash, Shannon Courtney, or this fucking Sandy Ryan character, or whoever else is next. I quite like Savannah Marshall as well. I think she's good. The Quote obviously is good entertainment value, and of course we have me, Katie, who was more than happy for Ebony last night because she started shitting on Shani, didn't she, afterwards in the commentary? So that was good. But Shannon Courtney as well. Like whose fucking idea was it to have Mike Costello and Shannon Courtney on comments talk about a fucking match made in hell? Holy shit. Costello still hasn't got the fucking memo that we can all see the fight as well.
You were complimenting her on that dress she was wearing today, mate.
I was like, fuck. Mike Costello hasn't got the memo that everybody can see the fight, that he's not commentating on radio anymore. And Shannon, like, she was just having a fucking nightmare. Obviously, Eddie got her beforehand and said, listen, whenever they ask you, do you hope Ebony Bridges wins the fucking title, say yes. because you're gonna look like a bitter cow if you just keep running her down. And she did manage to say that she wanted her to win the title while running her down for most of the fight as well. So that was quite entertaining.
I wonder if she had a quarter bottle in her purse.
I don't know. Yeah, it looks like she might leave a nagging in the fucking toilets. All right. Anyway, I don't want to get too fucking disparaging about the women or whatever. But look, Ebony Bridges, good for her. And, you know, I thought it was a lovely nod, ode to her fellow countryman, Father Dave, last night, because she came to the ring to like a prayer. So she walked out to like a prayer like Father Dave. And then, as well as that, I thought they were both showing their age with their ring selection music, because Ebony came out to like a prayer, as I said, that came out in 1987. And then fucking the Abuela came out to Welcome to the Jungle. Because there's so many current music there. So that was good. That was good. It was good to watch while the fucking main event was on its way. So I watched the Warrington fight. I gotta be careful here, like, because Warrington, I like Warrington, as I said before. I got pelters before for saying that I thought Mick Connon would beat him. Probably now, would Mick Connon even beat him now? Maybe not. Like, I don't know. I think he probably would, but you know, it'd be a 50-50 fight. It'd be a close fight. But he's lost his world title, getting smashed up. Won the title, but did he win to get revenge on a headbutt or a technicality or something? There was some kind of fucking non-decision, wasn't there? Then he's somehow fighting Kiko Martinez, who knocked the guy kicking, who won the world title after he probably should have beat. It was a weird triangle of fucking events. Anyways, a weird setup of events. Warrington himself, nothing against him, all action style. I thought it was actually a really good performance from him last night. But calling a spade, and we knew this before the fight anyway, and we knew it before the gala as well, until he punch from the gods, as they say. Like at 36, he's 36 looking 46. His feet were slow, he was plodding, he couldn't get the shots off, but he's still tough as fuck. Like, he still managed to break Warrington's jaw in there as well, didn't he? Like, so I don't think it's any shame that that Kiko goes 7-8 rounds or whatever with Warrington at this stage. He gets pulled out because there was a stage, I thought, in the first round where he wasn't under too much duress with a flurry and he still wasn't firing back. So that was kind of the early warning signs were there that he wasn't going to make it throughout the course. And Warrington's no big puncher, as we know. He has hardly any knockouts on his record. So Martinez was there for the taking. Warrington wins another world title. The Leeds lads get a good night out. And we all got to see the Phoenix. So pretty good. pretty good on the DAZN card. Everybody booed Eddie as well, which was great. Then he tried to start arse kissing Leeds. Then afterwards was, I don't mind a few boos, but you guys are the absolute nut. And it was like, boo, shut the fuck up, you big lickers. So that was good. You never see him booing Ben Shalom, by the way. You don't see that guy getting booed anywhere on the Boxer show. Wasn't booed at all. Like, so, even Ed. But yeah, good night for the zone on the app.
Bob, enjoying the boxing action. There was quite the knockout last night. We're going to have a look at that shortly. Just before we do so, Ozzy, I don't know if you caught anything this Friday night card. Troy Williamson, Mason Cartwright, former friend of the pod. In fact, they've both been on the pod in the past. Lewis Ritson against Dayan Zlaticanen. Simon Alevi, friend of the pod no less, messaged me saying he was impressed by Eurosport's coverage. Did you see anything of it, Oz?
Yeah, I saw the main event, actually. Well, sorry, not the main event. I seen like bits of the Ritson thing, and he just boxed conservatively against a faded Zlaticanen, and he's a shadow of what the guy that came over and beat Ricky Burns, which seems an absolute age ago now. The Williamson Cartwright fight was quality, absolutely class. Just two styles that gelled. And Williamson's a very watchable fighter. He's had, 3 fights now. Kieran Smith, Ted Cheeseman, and now Mason Cartwright. All have been decent. I thought the cards would, and again, we're fucking talking about it again. Fucking judges' scorecards. John Latham's card of 114, 113, bob on for me. That absolutely fine. Could have gone either way. Probably edge it towards Williamson. However, Phil Edwards at 116, 111. And then, if it's not fucking Ian John Lewis putting random cards in, who else is it? The fat man himself, Terence O'Connor, 117, 112. The guy is a fucking clown. He's an absolute clown submitting these cards. It's like the just pre-submitted. He's a joke. And, Ian John Lewis, was rightfully, held to account for his scorecard in the Catterall-Taylor fight. Fucking O'Connor should have the same done to him, because it's all too often, and it is the same British judges week in, week out that get away with fucking murder putting these cards in. 117, 112. This guy just does not know how to score a fight. I don't understand how he gave Mason Cartwright, 3 rounds? Something like that. 3 rounds. In one of those, he had a bloody knockdown as well. So he's just not got a clue. And I'm not saying if he'd have scored it, if all the cards are like a round difference or 2 tops, then it's fair. But these guys are going in the away corner, massive opportunities, and you're getting fucking fat idiots like O'Connor just submitting garbage cards, and it happens all the time. And it takes the shine off what was an excellent fight again. And the only reason Phil Edwards isn't getting as much stick is because O'Connor was managed to submit an even worse card. But nothing's going to happen, and it's going to, there'll be a fight in 4 weeks' time where we end up talking about poor cards again, and it'll be Terry O'Connor or someone else like that who submitted a poor card, and it'll be, we're like a broken record. We may as well play it again in 4 months, a month's time again, when it happens again on another British card. But something has got to change, and it's easy to say, but like these people get in the ring, and fuck me, they've got a 1 win can change the career, and you feel like you're really up against it when you've just got incompetent judges. I'm not saying they're cheating; they're not on the take. It's just pure incompetence, and they should be struck off. O'Connor, people like that, get rid of him, get him gone. He can't move in the ring. He's like a big sloth in the ring when he's fucking refereeing. And now, do you remember when he was busted on his phone, ringside one time? Looked like he was on his mobile, clearly doing something else, pre-ordering a Just Eat for after the fucking show. And now, he still submits these trash scorecards. So, gone on a bit of rant there again about fucking judges, but it's so frustrating, you know. As a fan, like, and I think it's right that we continue to highlight it. We should not just ignore it because it becomes all too common. It's right that, you know, things and people are made aware of it, and we continue to, you know, raise, you know, the poor cards and highlight those, and ultimately talk about the fight as well, which is a great fight. And I urge anybody that if you've not had the opportunity to see it, there'll be a YouTube, you know, version flying around, but please watch it. Again, it just highlights, you know, the quality of British title fights. Two lads evenly matched, probably a step up for Cartwright, actually, in all honesty. But he showed that he can mix it at that level, at British level, without a doubt, even though, you know, he was on the receiving end of a defeat. And the only other one, probably Pat McCormack, you know, Olympic pro debut, you know, after coming out of the 2020 Olympics, just levels above Justin Menzies, you know. Always thought it was going to be the case. I think Thomas Patrick Ward has now got the longest British unbeaten record, 32-0, after he beat Alexis Kabori. I don't know what they're going to do with him because, again, Ward's got loads of skills, but he just can't fight his way out of a wet paper bag in terms of punching. You know, and we've said before, haven't we, Steve, that, you know, if you get to a certain level, you need to have a bit of a dig just to deter your opponent from constantly walking towards. And I think that showed, you know, against Thomas Asomba, you know, a bit of a rugged style, tough, but got skills, miles better than his record, but was beating, really was beating, for me, was beating Tommy Ward without a doubt. And again, just got a rough one on the cards. And unsurprisingly, guess who had it 88-84 to Thomas Patrick Ward that night? Terry fucking O'Connor again. Marcus McDonnell had a Samba winning, and Michael Alexander had it a draw. Yet Terence O'Connor had Thomas Ward 4 rounds up at the time of the bloody technical decision. Clown. But no, it was one of them. I think it was it the second Probellum? Well, MTK. Whatever proxy business they want to call it, card over here.
Yeah, no, I haven't asked. Great bunch of lads.
I'm not disputing the people involved. I'm just saying it's a dubious business is probably the best way to describe it.
No, it's not. It's a legitimate business. It's great, guys. Great.
Well, yeah. Hey, look, you know, if they file their accounts and stuff like that, pay people the minimum wage, then yeah, we'll call it a fair business. Who knows where they get the funds from?
Sorry, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, but no, yeah, it was what it was. Watch back Williams and Cartwright if you can. Great fight.
It was what it was. It is what it is. Cursory mention of shows next weekend. We're not going to dwell on them. April Fool's Day, next Friday evening, Sandor Martin goes in against Jose Felix in Spain. DAZN, Eddie Hearn is still flogging this very much dead horse. But
El DAZN is great. Brutalmente honesto. Great fucking platform. DAZN Spain. Let's go, baby.
Yeah, it's all going on over there.
Vamos.
Brutalmente honesto. Next Saturday evening, Gary Hyde back in the promotional game alongside former friend of mine, Leonard Gunning. I haven't spoken to Leonard in a while. Gary's son, Tommy Hyde, has grown up pretty quickly. He's making his debut at light heavyweight in Cork next Saturday evening. Good luck to all involved. Time is indeed flying by. Tommy is now a professional light heavyweight. Talking to Tommy Frank is fighting next Sunday in the Magna Centre Rotherham British title fight against Craig Derbyshire. The reason I mention this, Matty, is not because I want your opinion on it, but it is on Fight Zone TV, the same as this absolute cracker that we witnessed last night. Christian and Billy out in Canada, knocking the life out of Najib Mohammadi. Before we get your analysis, let's have a look at it first of all and see exactly what went down. Few second clip. It was on Fight Zone, I do believe, live from Canada. Here we go. The resolution doesn't do it justice. But listen to let's watch it again. Listen to when he hits the canvas, the little boom.
You just need a power for him,
if you search that on YouTube, there's a better 50-second clip. But that was a fucking bomb, and he was flat as a board going down, man. Fucking walloped.
That was such a hard thump. You're going to get Timberland, Swiss Beats, and Pharrell Williams loading it into their fucking drum machines. Oh
my goodness me!
I swear
It was
to-
the
I swear to
weekend
God,
of the knockout.
Part of me
Go on,
thinks he
Andy.
kind of like sold it a wee bit. You know, I think so. You think he kind of sells it a wee
Yeah,
bit?
the game's
Play that
gone.
again.
The game's gone rolling about for that.
Play that again. Actually, just watch him. He takes a shot. Just watch his foot. He kind of like. You see it?
Oh yeah, he's kidding on. He's kidding on there.
I don't think he was selling that. Nobody would sell in a way that makes him at the back of their head on the fucking camera.
Yeah, Najib, hit your head off the canvas, son. Just make it legitimate.
Just
Like fucking Del Boy going through the hats, Ronnie.
Thought the cornerman was going to be there to catch him.
Gonna wait for them birds.
You're crabbing me style. You're crabbing me style. Poor Maddie hasn't a fucking jot there. What's going on? Is he?
I need to show him that clip actually.
Oh, I should have got it. I should have tried to stitch the two together, Andy, if I'd have thought,
Yeah.
actually. I never thought.
I'll put it in the chat, Matty. It's actually quality, man. One of the best comedy moments of all time.
Okay.
We'll get it to you as best as we can. Yeah, Christian and Billy there. Right, Matty, you are doing the prediction league for next weekend. You found one for us last week, Ken Shiro, I think it was, and you have outdone yourself this weekend. A tie fight on Wednesday or Tuesday, I think it is. Do tell who we're going to be predicting this week.
Oh God, Steve, give me a second here so I can pull up. So we're gonna, and it's fucked up, man, because the listing that I saw, it was supposed to be CP Knockout Fresh Mart, who we all know and love by name, taking on Wayne Yang Meonthin. God, how do you say that? Meoniothin. Thank you, Meoniothin. But now Meoniothin, also known as Cheofon Munsuri, which is actually easier for me, the son of a bitch, is going to be taking on Panya Pradabsri. And this is actually a rematch of a fight that they had in November of 2020, which was decided by scores of 115-113, all for Pradabsri, who was able to take the aforementioned weird named dude's unbeaten record.
But in a plot twist, Matty, you mentioned
he was TBE for a short period. That boy.
Yeah, exactly. He was 51-0 and all. You mentioned knockout CP Freshmart. That was the first person I thought. But according to BoxRec, this Panya Pradabsri is also called Pechmani CP Freshmart. So could it be that this was the Freshmart we were thinking of all along?
Could be. It could be. There's a lot of Freshmarts. They're kind of like 7-Elevens, I guess.
Yeah. So. Well, right. I have no idea. I'll defer to Andy on this one, I think.
Since Rob, since you are getting the last of this, and for you've gotten the last piece, you can go last on this one, buddy. But
I'll take Padaprisi by decision.
Right. Okay. Right. Who else, Matty? Are the other boys going in on this one as well? Ozzy, who are you going for in this prediction league? Now I'm out of my depth here completely.
I'll pick a result, but it doesn't mean I ain't got a fucking clue who these thingies are. I'm just looking at the records. These Thai lads, they're so bizarre, aren't they? You know, like who they fight and stuff. Like the amount of debutants they fight and stuff. It's so weird.
They're like Muay Thai fighters a lot of the time, though. Like they have no boxing,
like kickboxing, aren't they, and stuff.
Yeah. Don't let them kick you in the shin.
There's a good documentary on YouTube somewhere. I don't know if it's still available, but there was a one about prisoners in Thailand getting put into boxing fights in the prison to fight for their freedom. So if they won so many fights, they would get like their sentence commuted or whatever. Oh, it was fucking epic, mate. What the fights? I'm at Ring Wrong.
Yeah.
He was one of them. He came out and became a world champion. IBF flyweight champion.
Well, I mean, this Pradabsri has got the definition of fighting an unknown fighter, because on the 29th of November, according to BoxRec 2019, he scored a TKO win, but the opponent doesn't have a name. So literally doesn't have a name. It's just TKO to second round against nobody. No name.
Thailand is fucking mental, mate. I remember me and Steve watched a guy actually got killed in the ring. We cut to a commercial break and they came back and the body's still lying there.
He's lying there dying and they're holding the belt over him with the other guy.
Do you remember when that dude was supposed to come fight Rigondeaux and the fight got canceled because he tested positive for AIDS?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, did he?
Yeah.
It's just banter, innit?
Just fucked up, man. It's just a fucked up place.
It was all about the crack, really, at the end of the day, you know.
Goddamn lady boys everywhere.
I'll go with what Andy said though. Is it Prado Volkian by decision win? Yeah.
All right.
Rob, who you going for? Tesco Joe. Rob, who you got?
Yeah, COVID recently.
That's what Rob thinks of that.
That's what he thinks of that.
That's what he thinks. He jumped straight off like that opponent. That thing he's got a win over No Name.
Steve, it looks like you're gonna have to go off with go next, or I can go next.
I'm going for revenge. I think there's a reason why Moonsri has taken this, and it was only 115, 113 across the board. I think he's got enough fire in the belly to reverse this one and get the win. So I'm going for Moonsri, Meniothi, whatever you call him, to reverse the trend and get the win on points here, Mate.
Hey, I'm with you, Steve, as long as Don Trell is not judging it.
He might be out there next week. You never know.
There's Rob
Junior or senior, you got to be careful. There's Rob anyway. Rob,
sorry, guys. I'm raging. My sound was gone. I was zinging him in there. I was thinking, I was fucking on fire. Anyway, who am I going for in this one? Well, as I always say, Steve,
Thai
records are for Thai DJs, so I don't know, but I'm gonna go from my man. I
thought you were going to make a Tyann Booth joke or something, Rob. Come on.
No, well, I had one when you said they were fighting for their freedom. They said Ring Wrong was there. I said Ring Wrong must have done something wrong. But nobody laughed. It was like, fucking hell, that was a bomb. That's fucking, nobody could hear me. I'm going to go for my man Paddy Precy because he's a Paddy Precy, you know. So I'm going for him.
Knockout or decision.
Knockout or points, Rob?
Oh, Max and Paddy Precy. Don't mess with their daddy, love. Kiss, kiss, bang, bang. Knockout all the way.
For anyone interested by it, it's free and available on YouTube Tuesday morning.
What time will that be, Andy, about?
I think it's about 11 o'clock, mate. Tim Boxell will have a link, so I'll send it on if you're interested.
He'll be all over. Thanks very much. You got all those ones then, Matty, that you needed, yeah?
I sure did, buddy.
Right. And the second one that you were going to refer to was Florian Marku, Newcastle, Ben Shalom, boxer favourite, going in against great guy Ben Shalom. It's not him who's fighting Chris Jenkins, it's Florian Marku. Savannah Marshall's on the undercard against Femke Hermans. It gets
actually that's the main event, I think.
Oh, is that the main event?
Marshall,
right, okay. Yeah. WBO female middleweight title on the line. Will have all turned off by that point. The undercard's pretty slim, although Nathan Gorman's on it, so not too slim. He's going in against Scott Alexander and a bunch of other guys I've barely heard of. Bradley Ray, I think he's pretty decent. Ozzy, what's your prediction and what do you think the fight of the night will be? I think Marku Jenkins might be decent, maybe a cut or two flying in there.
Yeah, I'm going to go with... I'm going to go Jenkins on points. I think if Jenkins can take Marku's power, I think Jenkins has more than got the skills to outbox Florian Marku. I've not been massively impressed with Marku, actually, in general. So I think, and Jenkins is talented, he's, more than seasoned, solid British, probably European level, and can box. But as you say, Steve, cuts could fucking ruin the fight completely. But I'm going to go with Jenkins' decision. I think he may just be a bit too cute for Marku, to be honest. The rest of the card, I was talking about how Sky made a decent effort this week. I actually think this is a pretty naff card in general. The Marshall fight, I have no idea about the opponent, never heard of her. But Marshall's good to watch because she can punch. So hopefully she knocks out this opponent as well and then sets up that Shields fight. I mean, Nathan Gorman, God knows. I mean, who the fuck is this opponent? Scott Alexander. I mean, where have they pulled this guy from? You know, he's just, I mean, he's 32. He looks like 52. And he's just got no, I mean, he lost to Travis Kaufman back in bloody 2018. So this guy is absolutely no quality. I would expect Gorman to knock him out and knock him out quick. I think the best fight on the undercard could be Darren Surtees against James Moorcroft, late rounder. Decent, you know, two fighters, you know, at different stages of the career, probably similar records.
Oh, yes, Surtees. Sorry, Ozzy. Didn't he fight Mohammed Mimoun on one of those golden contract things?
He did, yeah. Got knocked out. Thingy, but pretty badly as well from memory. But he did. I'm sure he dropped Mimoun as well.
Yeah, he was doing well, wasn't he?
Yeah. So this is a good fight, actually. And I think, you know, there's certainly more places for fights like this on undercards. You know, don't need to be, you know, 12 and 10 rounders for titles, but this is an 8-rounder. You know, as like an opportunity is good. So I think it's a decent fight. I think Surtees might well stop Moorcroft actually, but I hope I'm wrong. Moorcroft he's been on this podcast actually, James Moorcroft, and a while back and spoke really well. You know, he went up to Scotland and had that defeat it was a British title eliminator against Martin Harkinon. You know, one of those dinner shows they do at one of the working men's clubs, like they do one every, you know, a few months. It was on one of those, and I think the occasion just got to him a bit. So good fight. Brad Ray's on there against no opponent. April Hunter, don't really know who that is. And then the one that will probably sell it off is fucking Aaron Chalmers, who, God, used to be on Geordie Shore on MTV, but then more so fought in Bellator. You know, like the other MMA thing. I don't know how it works, but yeah. So he's now become
TK, natural progression.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So he's now making his pro debut as a boxer. So God knows, A, what weight he's going to box at, and B, what corpse they're going to put him in the ring with, because it ain't going to be anybody's talent, that's for sure.
It's an interesting one, that, isn't it? Because great guy Ben Shalom obviously has trouble getting talent to the roster, so he knows this fella's going to be a ticket seller, so there's going to be a bit of appeal for him. But it's going to be interesting when they start doing post-fight interviews with him, and they're like, "So, Aaron, how does this moment compare with the time Charlotte did a shit in the bed on Geordie Shore?" You know, so I'm interested to see where this goes.
Oh dear. Yeah, Ozzy, where can you go from there, I suppose? Is that everything you got on that card?
Yeah.
And Jenkins by decision, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
All right.
Matty, you tell me what you think, but I'm going to tell you what I think first of all. The fact it's a 10-rounder leads me slightly towards Jenkins maybe getting out of the way. But Marku, he's going to be pumped up, he's going to be rough, he's going to be ready. I can see Jenkins getting cut. He hasn't been cut in a while, he's due one. I'm going to go Marku by stoppage, but with the cut playing a major factor. So Marku by stoppage for me. Matty, what do you think?
That's the same thing I was going to go with there, Steve. So are you sure?
I don't know. You are a bit of a hex, but yeah, I think I will.
All right.
Anything from the undercard, Matty, or should we just move on?
I got nothing. Who do Andy and Rob got for that one?
Rob, Marku Jenkins, the Ben Shalom show.
Great guy, Ben Shalom. I want to go for Jenkins because I used to work for a fella called Jan Jenkins when I was about 19, moving furniture, and I used to be able to do such a good impression of him that I used to go on my lunch and then ring the lads in and pretend I was him and get him to like move shit around and all, and come back in and go like, I don't fucking ring. That was me, like whatever, they crack up. So I want to go for him, but I think it's going to be Marku by stoppage.
That's one way I come into a conclusion, I suppose. Andy, what about you?
Sorry, I got slightly distracted there, but if it's the picks, I'll go with Marku, possibly split decision. I'm sure I read a wee while back that Jenkins got his ribs broken in a fight or two back, so I wonder if it's maybe still affecting him in some way, shape or form. So if it gets a bit kind of tasty, you just don't know. So I'll go with Marku. I'll go Marku decision.
All right.
Is that all you need there, Matthew?
We got it, buddy.
Right. Matty, anything else we have missed that we've neglected to mention before we go on to Bellew of the Weeks, or do you think we've done our turn?
I'm sure there's other things that are happening, Steve, but to say that we've neglected anything, I would say is would be a push.
No neglect here, everybody. Episode 467. Let's move on to the Bellew of the Weeks as swiftly as we can. Andy's here, Matty's here, Ozzy's here, Rob Kelly's here, me, Steve. Everybody in the chat are having a great time. Ricky Graveel's knocking about, Northern Monkey. Grant O'Reilly, I think it was as well, who threw in a super chat. Shout out to him. Everybody's having a great time. Audley Harrison as well is still wondering what the Bellew of the Week is as we go on to episode 467, Bellew of the Week.
Oh, Bellew of the Week. What was that? Wait, somebody said you narrowly just missed out on Bellew of the Week, mate. Was close. You and Bean. What Bean? Tell me more. What does that mean? I'm clueless what you're talking about, buddy. What does that mean? Share some insights with me. Bellew of the Week. Hello. I just got to let you know.
I can see it in your eyes, but she hasn't got a clue. Here's the crack. What's the crack with that video, by the way? I'm not going off on one. Lionel Richie, hello. Your one, she blind and she makes a bust of Lionel Richie's head, but he rings her like she turns on the light before she answers the phone. I don't think she was blind at all. She made a perfect fucking bust of Lionel Richie's head. I turned the light on. Anyway.
So we might be losing our younger listeners here, Rob.
Yeah, no, they show me age every week, don't they?
You're officially old.
Older than dirt, but I wouldn't fancy fucking telling Audley that he's after winning Bellew of the Week there. You know we mock fellas now, but fucking Audley looks like he might be able to dish one out there, like, don't he? Come on, Audley.
I don't know, he had enough opportunities, Rob, during his pro career to dish them out, and he never did, so I think we're all right.
We'll never forget.
Christ, how many punches did he land in throwing at David Hay again? I think he maybe landed one and possibly
it was -2, wasn't it?
-2. Fucking hell. Oh, dear.
Good old Audley. He's not in for this week's anyway, but this one certainly is. Jimmy Tunn has nominated Eddie Hearn. Eddie, confirmed from the hospital, Josh Warrington, clean break of his jaw prior to stopping Kiko Martinez to win the world title tonight. Bellew of the Week for Eddie, says Jimmy, showing us this scan while we've never seen the Saunders scan. #ISocketGate.
Just gonna hang Porky with bashing for as well. Show us the X-rays.
That's some ice baby, that isn't it? That's a bit of ice baby for Ed. Even
Show us the missing teeth.
Oh, Eddie's had a nightmare again this weekend. Even Ed.
I thought that was just a picture of his fringe.
Oh, dear.
There's this really weird movie about a vagina with teeth, and I don't know. This kind of makes me think of that.
What movie is that, Matty?
I can't remember the title of it, but if you search, like, just Google movie vagina with teeth, you'll find it.
Vagina with teeth. Moving on to this one. Doug Stringer has been
imagining... No, we need to stop. We need to stop. Because this chap is not well. Or he suffers, he's getting major online bullying. And you don't want these fucking idiots tagging the poor fucker. Yeah, no, he's come under a lot of scrutiny and he's gone through a very hard time, and he has autism as well, God help him. So I know the lads that nominate this have good intentions, but even me, I can't rank on this guy because I don't want to encourage any fucking more online fucking I could be having the opposite effect here. I'm just going to stop talking.
Just looks like an ice cream to me, but we'll just move on with Doug Stringer.
It's just called teeth, Steve. It's just called teeth.
It's called teeth. There you go. A shout out to the Blonde Bomber. Rick Murrigan has been nominated by Gavin Stevens. Rick says, what if we had a $500 pay-per-view card? Fury, Canelo, Crawford, Spence, even Jake Paul, etc., all on one. And had the CIA handle the illegal steaming and had every promoter promoting at the same time and all the networks promoting at the same time.
Banning alcohol now, eh?
What goes through your mind to ever think this? Whatever goes through, you'll be sat at home or at the office going, yeah, a $500 pay-per-view card, but then to go even further, have the CIA handle the illegal streaming. Mate,
so this will be the
same CIA.
Loser. What if CIA has been hacking into your fucking emails for the best part of 10 years without you knowing about it?
What if there were no more wars and I had a 10-inch penis?
He sounds like he's pushing for a socialist, totalitarian one-world government there, doesn't he, with the fucking CIA taking the fire stick over and all. You're fucked. You can't do nothing.
CIA.
I'll tell you what, Matty, if
there's nothing else to do.
CIA have got the right to work in America anyway. Fuck, they've got to work abroad, don't they? Useless cunt. That's a boxing manager, by the way.
Is that who it is?
Isn't he Jose Ramirez or somebody like
that?
That
was one that Josh Taylor was going to smash.
He manages somebody pretty high profile, either Ortiz or Ramirez. Somebody.
Can anyone get a job in boxing these days? Wouldn't they? Jesus Christ! Like, what the fuck?
Remember, Josh Taylor walked up to him after the press conference and said, "I'm going to smash your fucking face in."
The guy's a fucking moron. That's what he is. Fucking weirdo.
He doesn't have a check mark. He clearly doesn't matter.
No. Shout out to Rick Merigian. I thought that was a good one. Shout out to Gavin Stevens.
You know what having that check mark means, by the way? Fucking nothing.
You're check marked, aren't you, Roberto?
Yeah, what did I get for that? Nothing. Looking in the fucking post box every day.
At least people know it's you.
Fuck's sake. That's what I know. That's what I'm worried about. Anyway.
They know it's you and not a Katie Taylor burner account.
That fucking no context, Katie. That really took fire, didn't it? Whatever genius fucking girl came up with that one. That really fucking took off.
Yeah, Matt, whatever happened to your spin-off podcast, Chicks with Diggs?
I said earlier that we're going to be doing the first one this weekend at 9:30 on 9:30 my time on Saturday. We as in I,
we
as in like the product. Yeah, y'all don't worry about it. You enjoy your Saturday afternoon.
Yeah, the Boxing Asylum has no affiliation to Matty's new podcast. That's for sure.
Who's we? James Bridges.
I'm not doing chicks with digs on a Saturday night.
No, you mind.
A bit concerned about your topic of conversation here, Matty. I mean, you're watching films with vaginas with teeth. You've got chicks with dick podcasts. I mean, the CIA might be coming after you. With some of this history.
They already got him on.
Good news is they won't find anything. I just have a fucked up sense of humor.
Yeah. Found a big bong. We'll move on.
Let's move on swiftly to pay-per-view action. Vic Merigian would be all over this one. Never mind $500. $50 pay-per-view in Australia. It's all over. First round knockout. Was it Sonny Bill Williams going in against someone called, it wasn't Eddie Hall, Barry Hall. Headbutted him at the weigh-in. Lasted about 1.5 minutes, $50. There you are, Bob.
Was that your man who was used to be on It's a Knockout? I don't think things ended up. Maybe it should have been him in there.
Is that the fucking rugby player?
Anthony Mundine.
Yeah.
Danny Green turned up as well.
Woo!
They love a
Father Dave was there. Ebony Bridges, Postacoglu. They were all at it.
James Bridges, mate.
Ebony.
Actually, while we're on the subject of Australian and New Zealand action, friend of the pod, Andy, Ryan Deal, who's in the Patreon, he has DAZN and he can't get half of the UK shows for some reason. They're all blocked on New Zealand DAZN. So he's paying that money every month and he can't watch half of the shows.
You got the VPN.
Oh, I saw that actually. It's something to do with the rights. I think there's another major TV outlet in Australia that has got access to them. I've seen loads of people kicking off. I basically said I got up at whatever time to watch the Ebony Bridges fight, only to find out it was blocked. What the fuck am I paying for DAZN for?
And
then
they complained to the DAZN customer care department, and DAZN's official response was, "Why did you suck my dick?" Why did we hire Serafina?
If you want to watch these fights, you better get off DAZN, pay it straight away, Rob. I think.
You know our answer at DAZN here: if you can't watch the fights, don't watch them. Thanks very much for your money.
Exactly.
Join Showtime.
Get on to
Showtime. The sport ASAP.
No fights for them.
There's no fights for you. Literally, Ryan Deal. No fights for you, mate.
Rise like a phoenix, mate.
Ricky Graville has nominated this one. Lee Wiley, determined, drill, deliver. If you have drilled the shot in training so much, why wait till 2 minutes into the 12th round to deliver it? Lee Wiley boxing, downloading the data, Ozzy.
Oh, the guy's a fucking plank. The best thing was Nigel Travis responded with not just one shot, with about 8 different shots he'd been working on for Catterall against Taylor, and just showed all the clips that it landed. But they think it's something new, this, and they're trying to, reinvent the wheel, with these things. Oh, yeah, and Ricky's right. if you worked on that shot so much, why the fuck would you wait until 2 minutes into the 12th after being dropped, after being well down, should have been on the cards? That can just annoy me for various other all sorts of reasons, and this is just another one.
It's a pity as well, because Lee Wood is such a great kid. Like, do you know what I mean? He comes across so well, even when they're asking him on live comms last night, like, do you want Josh next? He's like, oh no, let him have his moments. He's a fucking class act, like, and he has this cop shit. Do you see the animation of Ben Davison as well in that clip? And we can't see it there now. You want to watch him jumping around the ring, man. Does he know there's a camera on him or not? Like, fucking hell. Anyway, boxer size Ben strikes again.
Michael Thompson putting in there, Ebony did well to escape the Australian boxing circuit, to be fair to her. Yeah, I'm a fan of Ebony, but I think there was a new Ebony, Andy, coming on the way up. I didn't catch her name, but recently on Twitter, somebody tagged me in. There's a bit of a Poundland Ebbs going on back in Australia. Might see her on DAZN soon. Well, they won't, but we might.
Wait for you kind of put up the horror picture, mate, but there's nothing there. What this means, though, she's done well to escape Australian boxing. I mean, what's all that about?
You have to fight for your freedom over there as well, Andy.
They need to take it back again, Bob. Stick it back in.
I know it's a reference to the fact you people sent people there, and it's just all a very odd thing. And then you find them back the box in front of you.
I was thinking about it last night because I was watching the fight, and I was thinking, like, just the crowd that left Ireland in the last recession were bad enough. Could you imagine what they fucking sent over there back in the day? The Brits, holy shit, man! No wonder the place is fucking mental.
If you think about the Irish and Greek immigration to Australia, that continent can actually only get crazier from here. It's very interesting.
Fucking hell.
Looking at getting crazier. Here we are, Derek Cooper.
That's bad form, Derek, man. Fuck's sake, man.
If you remove the microphone from that image, that's going to float around the internet for the next 5 years in so many different forms.
Ozzy was well impressed with that outfit.
I fucking was not.
You were so, mate. You were forced to kind of say face on the Twitter.
When I have to say when I reference Shannon Courtney, like, it has nothing to do with how she looks like and everything with her personality. She's just the most. She's so obnoxious and unappealing, like, and her sense of arrogance as a shtick, so much to tell her it just doesn't work for her, man. Like, it just does not work for her. Like, stay humble and you'll never stumble.
Didn't you say like a bunch of racist crap on Twitter sometime back? It's weird. Yeah. Like, so DAZN's kind of like the equivalent of like CPAC in the United States, who invited Papa John to be one of their speakers. Papa John got kicked out of his own company for saying the N-word, in a meeting a while back. I don't know why they give platforms to people that do this shit, but it is what it is.
It is what it isn't. Bit of a fight going on here, nominated by Gareth Chamberlain. Ray says Josh would have stopped Lara in the second fight if it went any further. Best thing Lara could do is not take the trilogy. Every dog has its day, and that was his in the first fight. Josh didn't even seem motivated in a behind closed doors fight. And he went on to say, mate, you've got no clue. Lara wasn't confident at all coming to Leeds with a packed house, and the fight was showing that. Lee Woods will be a good fight, but I expect Josh to take the win. Only lad who could cause Josh one or two issues is Shakur Stevenson. He'll still win.
Fucking hell. Is there anybody going and play in the background? I can hear myself getting, on an echo.
Hang on, let me see. Right. Oh, it's stopped now. Somebody's... Oh, it must have been Oz. He's the only one who's muted. Good man, Oz. And he's playing Coronation Street in the background. Maybe he's ready to tweet out. Carl Frampton. Frampton tweeted out some in-depth analysis about the fight. He said, can you post this and say, looking forward to this one tonight. Two former foes and no friends. May the best man win. At KIKO Martinez and Josh Warrington.
You missed the reply where you went, sure thing, DK. I shouldn't be saying that. Sorry, what's wrong with me? Like?
Bad man, Rob. Bad man. Motor City Cobra nominating Corey. Corey has a solution to the Devon Hay and Neil Lomachenko-Kambosos situation. He says, let's make it easier for everyone who has the most wins, a belt and no losses. Loma should have never been in the running. Dude is 30-something with 16-2 record. Yeah, Corey. Don't think you quite know how this sport works, Andy.
What can I say, mate? I mean, he can't make sense of nonsense,
Can't make sense of nonsense. Make sense of this. 1 hour apart. Unreal. Looking well, man. Looking well.
Hey, mate,
Now, anybody that tells you that you shouldn't be subscribing to DAZN with HD like that, forget about it. Look at the service, man. Fucking hell, unbelievable.
That period came on quick though. She must have gained weight pretty quick.
I see. I'm getting off this.
Thank you, Andy. Good to know someone wants to compete with me for most fucked up comment of the week. I mean, I'm tired of carrying this fucking weight.
You doing a good job, Matty. You doing a good job.
Say that. Remember, my Jama says you can't time a period, and she can't get the last 2.5 pounds off.
I can only pick
Well, if
on
Maya
the...
Jama said it, then it was fucking
Maya Jama.
right. I tell you what, by the way, DAZN, that's where you fucked up, man. That's where your subscription numbers are through the fucking floor. What happened to Maya Jama? Don't tell me Maya Jama's not better than Shannon Courtney, like in terms of charisma and all that. Even if she knows fuck all about boxing, stick her in there. Like, why are you getting rid of Maya Jama for? Like,
is she gone officially then?
She's gone. Yeah, she hasn't been seen. She's fucking Audi 5000 out of the zone, on to bigger fish to fry. She's not going to catch Maya Jama on an app. You joking me? No, they got anyway. She got bombed out or she left, whatever. But bring back Maya.
Bring back Maya. That's what I say. Here we go. Dominic Henry has nominated Probellum. Canelo had it and Pat has it. Schaefer Sports doubles down on the McCormick-Canelo comparison on the post-weigh-in pub show. It was a pub show, Andy. You're not going to get your point out to Schaefer anytime soon. Talking some shit.
Oh, mate, I think I'm caught a wee bit of this, to be honest with you. I really want to get someone to kind of measure his arms so he can maybe just see how capable is of patting himself on the back, because he was doing a lot of that when it came to talking about Canelo. It was like he discovered them magically. It was like he's some sort of talent scout. After I heard that, I just switched it off, mate. He's sleazy. He's a sleek it fucking man who welches at the bar. Fuck him. So
he's just at the bar.
He welches at
Cunt
the bar.
tells me a scotch.
Fucking hell, man. Yeah, he's a snake, that man. Like he was saying sell anything. I mean, I remember he was promoting the World Boxing Super Series at the start of that pish minute he was coming out with. We're going to revolutionise the sport. Well, what's happened to it? You know, and now he's back after getting kicked out for trying to fuck over his mate Oscar. Now he's back with Uncle Daniel.
Uncle Oscar. Hamid has nominated Rocky Ali. He's talking about Frank Warren can't handle Wembley shows. Maybe they should just go back to your call. Hamid pointing out that Warren was promoting cards in stadiums before Eddie even started promoting shows. Old Trafford, Millennium Stadium, Wembley. Frank's done it all. Lay some respect on that name. That's what I say. David Farmer has nominated Everything Boxing, the best Canelo undercard in at least 4 years. That's Hergovich Zhang and Montana Love against Valenzuela. Some people, I suppose, are pleased.
You know what?
That one, Rob?
I can't think of any Canelo undercards offhand, but I'm sure anyone is better than that one. Like, they've definitely blown.
He's a fucking loser. He's a loser. I mean, what? Fucking Hergovich against Big Bang Zile Zhang. He's going to fucking fold completely, big lump. And like, they're just the best Canelo undercard in at least 4 years. Wow, it's a massive achievement. They're chucking it on fucking pay-per-view for a start. And then, you know, because they put that Zhang fight is not competitive whatsoever. If Hergovich has got anything about him, he's going to absolutely obliterate him in a round or two. So, I mean, fuck me. It's just one of these ring-licking jobs again. You know, everything DAZN do. Oh, yeah, this is fucking class. This is great. No, all the time. It's just horrendous arse-licking. I was going to say week in, week out, but in his instance, it's fucking day in, day out.
Oh, God. Everything
boxing. There's not a chance that Russians getting a fucking decision over here either. There's no fucking chance. None.
Didn't even put the poor bugger's flag on the poster, Matty.
I'm telling you, and fucking it's not gonna be good. Kovalev, man, he's supposed to fight at the Forum. Gonna go bad for him too. Just nothing fucking good coming.
That's it. Bad boxing takes. Tank Davis is definitely the Muhammad Ali of his era. I believe he's the one to give Canelo his first loss. That's not
Jesus Mary, Joseph.
It would not be on the Canelo undercard anyway, Rob.
Who's making that? Like, fucking sitting down, taking the time out of their day to make that comparison. Gervonta Tank Davis and Muhammad Ali. Like, I like Tank Davis. Like, don't get me wrong. Fucking hell, but and he's going to beat Canelo at what? Like, I know he kind of Tank walks around in between fights similar to Canelo way, but generally he's on. He's on schedule come fight night. Like
the people who make those type of images, Rob, and maybe these type of guys.
You really want to go around and start researching my interviews from 5 years ago, which I think was longer than that, from the Frankie Gavin fight, wasn't it? 4 or 5 years ago? Jesus Christ, get yourself a life. Firstly, oh my God, I found this clip from Hearn 6 years ago. Oh, the forums are going to love this one. Oh, you wait till I tell my mates on the boxing nutters messenger group. Oh, I'm going to be the king. Fuck's sake, get a life.
Fuck's
What a
sake.
guy.
Get alive. As good guy Ben Shalom said this week in an interview, he said Eddie's being very petty at the moment, isn't he? He's being very petty. He was talking about the Photoshop job, like. So good guy Ben Shalom doesn't make many mistakes, does he?
Yeah, he is being petty over everything at the moment. Absolutely everything. And just to respond on his his went back 6 years ago. You probably only have to go back a week ago to find a statement where Hearn contradicts himself, not 6 years ago. So,
get a fucking life, will you?
I know, mate. Yeah, the thing is, though, we don't even need to. Yeah, I know. Yeah, well, look at in the NUTHOUSE messenger group.
And look at Ben Shalom, by the way. Look at his handsome face there on the screen. What's he after delivering? He says he's just about to deliver Brooke versus Eubank Jr. Eubank Jr. on pay-per-view. He's got fucking Brooke. Eddie said, oh, I love Kell Brook again, mate. I never said he was finished, mate. I never said I wasn't going to watch his fight. I want him to fight somebody I want him to fight. Blah, blah, blah. And look who delivers. Ben Shalom. He's got fucking Brooke. Brooke is not going for that shit again, man. Fuck that fight. None of that. Put him on Sky. You must be fucking joking me, man. He's going for the pay-per-view with Eubank. That's what I'm talking about. Ben Shalom delivering again. What a great guy.
There's one on screen,
down the middle.
Eddie Hearn is the Primark Ben Shalom.
Ben is not petty, is he?
Shalom said that he made an offer to Danny Garcia for Kell Brook.
Yeah, I saw that.
Talk about petty as well, by the way. Tom fucking Petty and the Heartbreakers. Eddie Hearn free falling this week. He's fucking cheerleading this Dillian White thing, isn't he? Isn't he cheerleading the Dillian White thing from the sidelines? Listen, mate, it's nothing to do with me. It's White's teammate. They're terrorizing him, mate. You're fucking having a laugh, mate. He sounds so bad, man. He sounds so bad.
Baby.
That shit. And that shit is pathetic theatre that's going on with Dillian White. We'll come to that. I'll come to that on the fucking nominations.
Yeah.
And Steve, I just got to say though, Ben Shalom that looks like a still from a commercial where they're telling you why it's important to get an STD test.
Depends what Eddie's carrying, I suppose, after Ben's finished with him these days.
Does he invest in sorrow and hookers? I don't know.
Sugar up, mate. Even down the sugar up, mate.
Go easy, Ben. Time, go easy. Right. Igor Klimas nominated here. He was going in on somebody whose account owner limits their tweets, apparently. I think it was Mike. Was it Mike Coppinger? David Grice was nominating it anyway. Coppinger was tweeting something out, and Klimas says, "You motherfucker need to stop posting fake news about my fighters. I'm telling you, stay away from all of my fighters." Quite the threat there from Igor Klimas. I'm pretty sure it was Coppinger he was having a go at. Joshua Bratzi, London Showdown. No insects allowed. Michael Thompson has got stuck in there. It's not an insect, a spider. It's an arachnid. So a bit of a technicality there. From Michael Thompson, who's in the chat, shout out to him. And also, Terence Crawford drew this one to my attention. In the undercard on ESPN, someone took a chunk out of somebody else. Matty, did you see what was going on here? Who's the biting defender?
I didn't catch that at all. That must have been on the portion before the main card, because I didn't see that. And what's great is the back of his shorts say
Taste of Freedom. Exactly what I thought too.
He said, I'd like a taste of that myself.
Exactly.
Apparently that was the second bite of the night. There was a separate bite in another fight on the undercard as well. So somebody got bitten on the, I believe, the breast area in that one. So yeah, bite night, essentially.
That's so fucking poetic. Jesus Christ.
They said to him afterwards, "Why'd you do it?" He said, "He's been biting me, man. I got kids. My kids got to look at me. His kids are going to be scared of me.
I broke my back."
Broke my back. A couple of videos we have as well before we move on to see what the boys have got. Rob brought Mark Tibbs to our attention. A fine performance from him on BT Sport a few weeks ago. Thankfully, he's all changed now, Mark. Stephen Somerville sent this clip in to me, and Tibbs has got his words all sorted out, and he's having no issues in front of the camera whatsoever.
Right, the sacrifices that the ordinary people wouldn't understand the sacrifices and the, you know, what she has to take to get this win tonight. But what was I trying to say now? Yeah. I was trying to say something. I bloody forgot. No, I'm not.
Testicular fortitude.
No. I was going to say something. I was going to say something. Discipline, don't know. It's gone out my head. Sorry.
And the new. We'll leave it at and the new.
That's worrying.
I don't know if I'm worried about that or not. Like, yeah,
I feel you, man. I feel you.
The first time was fucking hilarious. This time it's a bit. What was I going to say there? It's a bit.
Walk into the corner, wonder why he's there.
I don't know. That looks rough, man. Hope,
I know.
Yeah, hope that's just fucking.
Might
But
be
it happens to me every
something
fucking
serious.
Sunday. What am I saying? Like,
Concerned about him there, Oz?
Very. It's just odd. It's like he's illiterate or something like that. You know, he just can't string the sentence together. It's fucking bizarre.
Good old Mark.
I had the pleasure of watching the original live as it unfolded, and I tell you, it was one of the most uncomfortable watches I've ever had to fucking sit through. It was spine curdling. It was just fucking, and then like when they cut away, they were still talking over the clip, and I was like, I forgot what I was going to say there. I was like, Jesus Christ, we said it, man. You know.
Pray for Mark. One man who never forgets what he's about to say here is the one and only Floyd Mayweather. He's guaranteeing returns. You think he would have learned his lesson? Apparently not. The NFTs are flying. Here's Floyd.
Mr. I don't lose at nothing is back. And if you in the NFT world and you betting on me, you will never lose. Ladies and gentlemen, follow me. As you can see, we like to call this the great room, because I'm great. Let's go in here. That beautiful masterpiece right there, soon that's going to be an NFT. But what I need you to do right now, go get Mayweather. That's my new NFT. I've been working on that for months, and I just dropped right now. Go get it. The money man, if I win, you win.
What the fuck is going
What do
on
we win?
there? And what a fucking stupid name for a room. Jesus Christ, use your goddamn imagination. Like Elvis had the jungle room. Fucking goddamn.
He comes in like, I call this the great room because I'm great. And I call this the horny room because sometimes I'm horny. It's just like, this is the hungry room. What's he talking about?
This is the
What
shit
are we
room.
fucking winning here?
You bet on this, you'll never lose, Rob. Old Floyd hasn't learned.
And I love the way he goes, see this? This is about to be an NFT. I've been working on this for months. Yes, you have. Yeah, you've been working on the NFT yourself out the fucking metaverse there, Floyd. We know.
Oh, what is it? What was the other thing he was doing? Metaskeletons, wasn't it, or something?
Metaskeletons in the Mayweather verse or the Mayverse or fucking the Money Team House or the Great Room.
That was a weird word, I think. I was it Mayweather's?
Mayweather, I think it was, or something like that.
Mayweather's the car.
May reverse the charges. There's Floyd with his NFTs. That's all the ones that I've got, Andy. Any nominations from you? Episode 4, 6, 7.
One for Robert Hecko, the judge yesterday, in the Tszyu fight for the 114-113 scorecard. Tony Bellew, the man, Anthony Bellew, excuse me, my apologies, said after the KIKO fight last night that he says, who doesn't want to see Mauricio Lara versus Kiko Martinez? I think the only person who wants to see that it would be like Gil Grissom for fucking CSI.
Fuck you, sign me up.
Fuck off, man. Lara would absolutely mutilate him. What the fuck?
Yeah, it's the way he was saying it, you know, like he's had, you know, thousands of people championing the fight. Literally, it hadn't even crossed my mind that until he said it. Exactly. And then be one of them, yeah, all right, yeah, fine. And then he goes, well, put it on the undercard of Josh Warrington against Lee Wood at the City Ground. So I'm going to think, you're going to bring a Mexican over, a fucking Spaniard, and stick him on the undercard in Nottingham.
But his fucking, everything about him is fucking terrible. Like, his analysis is terrible. Like, they're asking him before the fight, like, who do you think is going to win, Tony? And how's this fight won? He's like, well, mate, if KIKO throws that right hand that he hit Kid Galahad with, mate, then he's going to knock Josh Warrington out, mate. But if Josh Warrington doesn't get it with that right hand, mate, then, you know, Josh could win the fight then. But KIKO could still knock him out, but he probably won't, mate. But he might knock him out. It's just fucking like pathetic. It's shitty analysis. It's no Ben Davis and stuff anyway. And then talking about the cheerleading from the sideline. Bellew out this week with the fucking tweet about and hashtagging fish eyes and all and saying Frank Warren don't pay the fight. What the fuck has it got to do with him? Nothing to do with him. He's on DAZN on a disappearing app. The disappearing man who finally disappeared when he went on DAZN. What a fucking... Anyway.
Couple more for me, Steve. Gervonta Davis only saying his contract's up. That's why Mayweather Promotions want me to fight that clown Romero. I had a look at some of the comments and that, so it does look like wee G-Raw might be looking to jump ship for Mayweather Promotions. Floyd seems to be taking it pretty well by the sounds of it as well. He's saying, look, nothing lasts forever. Love him like a son, but sometimes this is what happens. So
it could be his son.
Yeah, possibly. And then
Floyd's more interested in NFTs now, Andy. He ain't got time for Gervonta.
Aye, but don't tell us how to actually buy one, or how to enter. And the final one for me is for Edward John Hearn. With the news that broke by Mike Coppinger that George Kambosos, Devin Haney have struck a deal with June 5th in Melbourne to be aired on ESPN, baby. So the zone.
Not only that, Haney has then got a multi-fight deal with ESPN and Top Rank as well after it. So Edward John has invested fucking a fortune paying Haney millions to fight, basically lower level opposition to now not promote Devin Haney in the biggest fight of his career. Then the rematch will probably be, equally as big. And then after that, he's probably still got another couple of fights with Top Rank. So, yeah. What a shame.
Edward got on his knees last night, thanking the King Buddha that Usyk actually got permission to leave the country to start training for this Joshua fight, allegedly. So there is that evening, Ed. But yeah,
I wonder he was hyping the Leeds crowd so much.
Yeah, done his bollocks on Haney. He looked like he's going to lose Andrade now as well. He claims that Dillian
Is
White...
that really a loss? I think
I know.
Oh no, said Eddie.
He advised Dillian White to use him for leverage in the Tyson Fury talks. So yeah, and he's losing purse bids to Frankie baby. So it's not good times just now. Not good times whatsoever. And I think that's the last one I've got, mate. Yeah, so that was the last one. Yeah,
that's all yours, Andy. Thank you very much. Some solid nominations there. Matty, anything from you? Maybe Dillian White and Frank and Dillian White's lawyer. I hadn't got any video clips to play, unfortunately, but that was kicking off.
Yeah,
Harry
this
Potter.
Is the one I was going to nominate.
No,
Harry Potter, that guy, didn't he?
Nothing from you, Matty, no?
No, I didn't know of that one, but I do have a couple. I think that Mr. Trella's scorecard has to get referenced again in that Bridges Roman fight, 191, just ridiculous. And also, I'd also like to give a shout out to Josh Warrington channeling his inner Tony Thompson and saying that he hadn't fucked his wife in the last 4 weeks, and that was on
that was good, wasn't
it? So yeah, that was quality.
Hi, fucking Jeff Benz, aka the fat Harry Potter. You need to put him up for one, like Jesus Christ, Frankie baby, baby, with my tickets.
The zone should get one there on the strength of that Josh Warrington as a follow up because they said he was effing and jeffing or whatever, and Ebony Bridges was effing and jeffing, and your man is like, we apologize for the bad language. I'm like, motherfucker, the fight is being shown on an app. What fucking 10-year-old has his fucking own fucking credit card that he's after ordering the fucking own fucking fight for himself? His dad's watching it on a tablet, you fucking moron. What are you apologizing for? For fuck's sake.
If I was a child, I know that I would love a subscription to DAZN from Santa Claus.
Yeah, you would, yeah. Fucking hell, you'd get a reporter to the authorities for that, man. Fuck's sake.
Right, Ozzy. Any nominations from you? I know you want to go in deep on this TalkSport showdown.
Well, yeah, this was my only nomination for Dillian White's lawyer, and do you know what? It was quite painful listening. Actually, it wasn't. Some people were loving it, but it was really petty. But what did it for me is that White's lawyer came on saying, "Yeah, we want the person in escrow, that sort of stuff," and then Frank just went, Why did you sign the contract? If it was such a sticking point, and he goes, we signed it and then we'd negotiate after it. I'm thinking, you moron, that's fair enough. Like, you took George Warren's comments at face value, but ultimately, if you sign that deal, you don't then start negotiating something like that. And then Frank goes, if I was Dillian White, I'd be suing you for poor advice for making my client sign the contract. And you heard that his lawyer just go silent a minute and think, oh, maybe I shouldn't have made him sign it. But no, it's like Simon Jordan said it right. It's the escrow part of the contract. No. So what the fuck are you moaning for then? No, Frank is not totally innocent. I agree, like White should be given complimentary tickets, as every fighter will, and he wanted to purchase some that he could then, give to, friends, that sort of stuff. But you meet in the middle. Apparently Dillian White requested half the ringside tickets, which is just never going to happen, is it? But I think the whole, Dillian White's team are just coming out as childish babies, embarrassing. I mean, you got Dean White coming out saying, I think the pay-per-views are going to be really poor. Why would you say that? Why would you not want this to be a success? Because ultimately, I mean, your friend, you're not a brother, you've just got this fake name that you think does something for you and it doesn't, Lamar Scott. And you're then saying you want basically the show to fail and, they're not treating Dillian with respect. Fucking Dillian White. Oh, I've been misrepresented on the poster. Well, why? It's fucking you on that poster. How have you been misrepresented? It's just petty, childish things. You've got Eddie Hearn, who's, is like you said, being petty and just being, coming across really salty. Oh, it's funny, the terrorizing Warren and all that lot, and it's really funny. I'm thinking, you're an embarrassment, mate. You always talk about, how other people are petty. Every interview that he does at the moment, he spends more time talking about other fighters and other promoters than he does his actual shows as well. I don't understand the whole logic. And then, I mean, the amusing thing is that White's lawyer goes, "Oh, Dillian will be fighting now." I'm thinking, you put him in a contract you're not happy with, you'll still send him in the fucking ring. It's the whole thing is a complete shit show. And the TalkSport interview, well, it wasn't great. I mean, I don't like it when the TalkSport line them up like that, because you never get both sides of the story, because they just start shouting over each other. I thought Warren probably edged more than came out on top, because he backed up his points, and Dillian White's lawyer was just saying about stuff that wasn't in the contract, yet they signed it, and they felt they had no other option but to sign it. Well, no, not really. You just basically thought you asked for. I think they basically felt Queensberry had bowed down, and ultimately they didn't. Lost the purse bid, and now Dillian White's gone missing completely. Just anonymous in the biggest fight of his career. But this is what he wants. It wouldn't shock me if the guy pulls out in the end. Citing some, like not happy with the contract or this and that, and they feel that they've obliged to everything. They've not even acknowledged this fight is going ahead yet. Yeah, his fucking gimpy lawyer is saying, "Oh yeah, we feel that we've adhered to everything in the contract so far," which is, you basically in a roundabout way, you agree to promote the fight. Now, if Frank wanted, a 2-week press tour or a week's press tour going all over, I completely get that and say, look, it's not ideal, it's not practical. But it was one press conference which you didn't turn up to, and then you've not done any social on it whatsoever, like sharing the poster, that sort of stuff. He's just come across as a complete wanker, basically. All of them have, and it just enhances that my urge for wanting to see Dillian White get blasted out by Tyson Fury, and then he fucks off and we don't see him in a boxing ring again. He's not a likable character. He never has been, and they talk about contracts and this and that. They didn't give a fuck about breaking a contract for the Oscar Rivas fight, did they? Changing gloves just before they went into the ring and wearing non-contracted gloves. They didn't give a fuck about that. Where did the B sample go? You didn't give a fuck about popping pills, did you, before you boxed Oscar Rivas, and then came up with some absolute bullshit lie about you got contaminated because it was your dog's fucking antibiotics. Didn't give a fuck about breaking contracts then, did you? It's one rule for one rule for the other, and they've just come across as sour, petty, toys out the pram because they didn't get their own way, and people can see through it now, and the whole lot of them. it reeks of jealousy, not happy. Oh, Frank's not done a stadium show before. He fucking put Warrington at Ellen Road. He did Carl Frampton at the fucking where was it? In Windsor Park. Yeah, fair enough. He's not done a Wembley show, but not fucking many promoters have done a Wembley show. But don't cite that as a fucking concern. My God, they're just coming. You know what? The fucking arseholes, a lot of them, and you can see why. And you then think, right? Actually, if you're going to be a cunt, why should we play ball with you from Warren's side? Right. Well, you want to be an arsehole, I'll be fucking arsehole 10 times more than you. You want your complimentary tickets? Fuck off. You're not having any of them. Fuck him. And then you've got that weirdo of a lawyer coming on, just citing absolute bullshit. It was another clown as well. And he's like, Frank, I think we best start talking rather than using the radio. I'm thinking, what the fuck have you been doing for the last few months? Apart from clearly not sorting anything. The guy, it was an absolute moron. He just came across as completely uneducated, inexperienced. And he just kept citing music concerts that he dealt with about asking permission for pictures. That sort of, it's just really odd. And, yeah, I've got a feeling something's still going to go sour about this as well.
Well said, Ozzy. Good stuff indeed. Belly of the Week on fire this week, episode 467. Rapping Rob Kelly, do you have anything to add into the mix, into the pot, into the stew?
No, I think Ozzy's kind of covered it pretty well, but that was my nomination as well. This absolute farcical theatre that's being fucking orchestrated by who, the puppet master, not naming anybody, evening friend of ours, fucking cheerleading this shit oh, we're going to fucking disrupt the Fury, fucking this is mind games, mate, this is the way we do it, we're going to cause terror for them, blah, 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 they've, done us on the purse bid, you need more money. What is all this shit about? And I hear this fella, I've encountered guys like this lawyer many times throughout fucking 20 years of music, American guys like this, the same old fucking pattern, and this guy sounds like he's been involved in more entertainment events. And it's quite common, in music tours and whatever, that the act might ask for more money later, or they want the money up front, or escrow, blah, blah, blah. So he's trying to apply, entertainment rules, and I even passed the bar, but I know a little bit, to quote Jay-Z, and it looks like he's trying to fucking apply industry fucking standards to boxing, as we see with the likes of Rock Nation and all, when they dip their toe into boxing, it's not what they think it is when they're getting into it. So sounds to me like this guy is out of his depth. He didn't represent Dillian White greatly on the radio. Francis M to the Is H phenomenal. The most shady Frankie Baby came out on top on the TalkSport thing. I thought he edged it on points. The guy was very confrontational, but he didn't seem to have much to back it up, other than they'd signed the contract and they wanted to negotiate the terms afterwards, which, do you know what I mean? It's like, fucking, who is this guy? The fucking lawyer out of My Cousin Vinny or something? What is he talking about? How do you do that? If you want to negotiate terms, surely you fucking put them in the contract, and then we don't have a discussion, and we don't have Dillian White fucking thinking that he's entitled, his star power entitles him not to turn up to the fucking press conference. The whole thing's not, and the guy gave away all the bargaining chips on the fucking call, because he said Dillian's fighting anyway, right? So if he's fighting anyway, what do we need this sideshow for? Have this fucking discussion behind the fucking closed doors, morons. So just get these two in the ring, get this fucking fight. It feels like it's been built up for the last 10 years. That's not even a fight we're getting excited for, because it's a one-way smackdown. So let's just have it out of the way, bullshit leading up to it.
It all relates back as well, that they're not happy with the 20% that they've been given. Despite the fact they think they're going to win, and it's not as if they're getting 20% of absolutely nothing. But then you've got these fucking goonies who keep saying, "Oh yeah, well he doesn't need to do anything because he's only getting 20%." Then right, okay, then let's apply this logic to every away fighter then that isn't happy with their purse or percentage, and then just go, right, don't turn up. Yeah, don't turn up. Michael Conlon, top rank, lost that fucking purse bid. Albeit, he was probably getting the better end of the purse, but still, he did fucking loads in the build up to that fight, at the launch presses and fight week. But for Dillian White, they're happy just to have a fucking cardboard cutout there. No, he's only getting 20% of the fucking bid. This is bollocks. When did this become a thing? But because fucking Eduardo and Dillian White's lot say, oh well, we're only doing 20% of the work. You've done 0% of the fucking work so far. You've not done absolutely fuck all. And turning up at fight week doesn't count either.
What
You know,
part?
like, oh yeah.
What part of
Go on.
strategy, like in any scenario, if you look at this, right, you sit down as the business advisor to Dillian White. In any scenario, do you recommend that he tries to make the pay-per-view less successful for his own back end? What the fuck are they doing? Like, it's just, what is this about? I can't get my head around it. It's just so fucking, it's such a pathetic sideshow. Like, why the fuck do you want the pay-per-view to do less numbers? You're going to get less money then on the back end. Like, go flip a table, man. Go back to your old days. Like,
yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, well, the whole team are coming out with it. Oh yeah, we're basically saying we want it to bomb, we want it to fail, and things like that. Why? Why would you want it to fail? I mean, it's clearly not going to fucking fail because they binked 90,000 tickets in about 3 hours. So plan A of trying to disrupt things have gone down the fucking shitter, haven't they? You know, so they've sold all the tickets. Now it's Hearns coming out. Warren sold them all to a tout. All right. Okay, then. A, have you got any evidence of this? And B, you used to get propped up by a fucking StubHub and all your tickets appeared on that. Yeah, what did you do about it? Absolutely ball all. Yeah, the shoe's on the other foot now. And we'll just start saying, yeah, he sold them all to a tout instead. Piss off, knob.
Yeah, piss off, knob. No room for them in Bellew of the Weeks. I think everybody has thrown in their nominations. Let's see. Let's have a quick scoot through, Andy, before we do our final picks. We had Josh Warrington's X-Ray leading us off. I think I'll leave that second one where it is. Rick Merigian, little front runner for me. I quite enjoyed that one. We had the $50 pay-per-view in Australia. We had Ricky Graville nominating Ben Davidson. Shannon Courtney, one of many nominations. Carl Frampton having a bit of a mare there with his template tweeting. Corey not understanding the game. There's Shannon again. We had the Snake Schaefer. We had the best undercard, according to Everything Boxing. We had a bit of a mix between Muhammad Ali and Gervonta Davis, Joshua Buatsi, and this fella taking a bite out of Taste of Freedom. And then finally, Dillian White, his lawyer, versus Frank on TalkSport. Quite the lineup there, Andy. Who are you going for on this fine episode 467?
I thought Bellew's was pretty high in the list, to be honest with you. But yeah, that whole situation, I agree with what Ozzy was saying there. You know, I switched it off after about 2 or 3 minutes. Just, you couldn't make it a word people were saying, to be honest with you. And it's just shit. We don't need it. As Rob says, if the contract's signed, if there's anything untoward or the contract's not been adhered to, then get it sorted out behind closed doors. We don't need to know about it. You know, all we need to know is the fight happening? Yes, it is. Right, okay, that's all we need to know, and we can look forward to that. But we don't need any of this other shit in the background. So yeah, I'll go for the Harry Potter lawyer.
Harry Potter lawyer, Mr. Benz, has been nominated by Andy. Matty, who are you going for?
Oh, Taste of Freedom 100%.
Taste of Freedom. Is that a Puerto Rican flag on the shorts there, Matthew, I think?
I think it is.
Yeah, I'm not sure who that is. We'll have to try and find out. But Mr. Taste of Freedom, or his biting accomplice, has been nominated. Andy seems to be iced. Maybe his electricity's gone, or maybe he's just had enough. It is 20 to 11 on a Sunday evening. Ozzy's still here, though. What's your nomination, Ozzy?
Yeah, Tubby Jeffrey Benz.
Tubby Jeffrey Benz, that's 2. Rob, close us out. Who are you going for?
It has to be my man Lorenzo rolling in the benzo. Him. Has to be him done it. Like, it's had a nightmare. He's fighting anyway. We get it now. You fucking need to get off the phone. He's fighting. The fight's on. Fuck off.
Albert Ross says, Wellings, I hope you got permission to use Jeff and Dillian's images, or this video won't be up long. Well, there's Jeff and Dillian.
Yeah, actually, Steve, we might be getting legal letters through from Jeffrey Benz because we've not asked Dillian's permission. We've misrepresented him on that picture, clearly.
Misrepresented him as a fighter who wants a world title shot.
You have Dean White. You have Dean White knocking around, coming and go, hey, I'm going to hurt you. I'm going to hurt you.
Back to using stock photos of fat Jamaicans for us.
Well, you never know. Or maybe using this, Matty. You wouldn't get sued for that, would you?
I don't know, unless they're really keen on that STD commercials IP.
Congratulations, Dillian, Jeffrey Benz. You might not see us again. They are the Bellew of the Week winners for episode 467. They've won something. Congratulations, lads. You've done a great job. Let's get out of here before we offend or upset anybody else. That is our job, after all. We've had a great panel on tonight. We've had a good laugh. Ozzy's been on absolute fire. Great to have him on with us. Matty DG Alanardo, who will be in the hot seat next week, has been on with us as well. So is Rapping Rob Kelly. Andy Patterson had to bail early. Ricky Gravel wasn't bailing early. He sent in a super chat earlier on. So did Grant Riley and Northern Monkey. And shout out to Gary Gray and Justin Dole, who joined us over on patreon.com/Boxing Asylum. Next weekend on Sunday, in fact, is episode 468. Matty will be in the hot seat. Don't know what we're going to talk about. We'll always find something, though. See you then. Same time, same place. Hit the thumbs up. I've been Steve Wellings. Bye.
We'll never forget.
I think that's good happening.
We want to be honest, yeah?
Crying like a little bitch. I've never met a fucking swank that can fight me.
I fell asleep. You're a fucking bum, you're a fucking asshole.
Rumpo fucking Steltskin.
But allegedly, Oscar Rivas has failed a test.
7 year ain't. I don't fucking smash. Fuck you.
I hope you fucking die.
Be safe.
I love Boxing Asylum. It's as simple as that.